Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Cabbage Head Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Green Mineral Quirk. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Once it was done healing, it even reformed the bit of temp tattoo that was blasted off. Izuku was ecstatic. My quirk manifested. Now I can be a hero like All Might. He quickly hugged Katsuki. Let's be heroes together, Kaken. Unfortunately, then another aspect of Izuku's quirk showed itself as he accidentally broke Katsuki's arm as he hugged him, making Izuku cry. I'm sorry, Kaken, I didn't mean to. The teacher then called Katsuki's mom, Izuku's mom, and a nearby hospital for an ambulance. When both moms arrive, they see Katsuki trying to calm down a crying Izuku who's constantly apologizing. Inko Midoriya quickly walked over to her son and knelt down. Izuku, honey, what happened? Through his tears, Izuku barely says, my quirk manifested and I broke Kaken's arm. Auntie Mitsuki, here. Izuku hands Katsuki's mom the chunk of his arm, which she instantly recognizes as a part of him. Inko, you calling Izuku an energetic emerald, called it. I do see jade and something metallic in the emerald though, Mitsuki said as she showed Inko the part she was given. Mom, Auntie Inko, can you make Izuku stop crying? He's going to flood the school, Katsuki asked as the ambulance arrives. The medic quickly puts Katsuki's arm in a cast and tells Mitsuki the usual cast care stuff. Once the ambulance leaves, Katsuki gets an idea. Izuku, I have an idea. Imagine forming a Mom, what's Izuku made of now? Mitsuki and Inko look at Katsuki confused. Emerald, what are you thinking? Katsuki walked over to Izuku and whispered something into his ear. After a couple of minutes, a small shell of emerald wraps around where Izuku's arm was blasted off. Smiling, Katsuki said, there, now we are even. You must wear that till tomorrow, okay? Izuku just nodded so fast he must have gotten whiplash. Inko chuckling. Izuku, how about we go to a doctor and maybe a jeweler to see what you are now? May I come too? Katsuki asked excitedly. Mitsuki laughed as Inko said it would be fine. After going to a doctor and then a jeweler, they found out what Izuku's body is now made of. His bones are now the finest jade ever found. His veins turned into the greenest 24-karat green gold. His flesh is the purest emerald the jeweler had ever seen, and his skin a porcelain that acts like skin. The quartet went out to eat katsudon as a celebration that Izuku had a quirk. Little did they know the trouble it would cause. After about a month, Inko tried to cut Izuku's hair and his nails, only for all her clippers to break before she remembered that Izuku was a walking jewel. It's easy to forget since he still ate, drank, and slept like he used to. After Izuku apologized for ruining his mom's clippers, she took him back to the jeweler, who luckily had the tools on him to trim his hair and nails. Both were green diamond and his hair was flexible still even after it was cut. Izuku and Inko left happy and a bit richer too, as instead of having to pay for the trimming, they got paid for the gems. On their walk home, Izuku got distracted by an All Might display which made Inko chuckle. Okay Izu, which ones do you want this time? After pointing out the 6 he wanted, Inko walked him inside and put him in a kid's chair the store had, telling him to stay put. As Inko waited in line, a strong man grabbed Izuku and tried to run with him. This prompted the poor emerald boy to scream, making his mom drop everything to chase the man. After running a few blocks, he hid in an alley and called someone on his phone as he kept Izuku quiet with his other hand. I got the living emerald, boys. We will be rich as hell as we chop this rent up. I just hope he doesn't die as we do it. The guy chuckled as he gave his partners his current location and waited. This is when Izuku remembered what Katsuki had him do. If he could form a fake cast on his arm, maybe he could do it to this guy. When the guy relaxes a few minutes after he realizes no heroes are nearby, that's when Izuku stuck, with a solid stomp on the guy's foot, breaking it. As the man yelled in pain and reached down to grab his foot, emerald tendrils grabbed the man and lift the 7 feet, 300 pounds man into the air. Izuku, proud of his work, walked into the street before tying the man to a nearby light pole with emerald handcuffs and a jade cast around the foot he broke. Can someone please contact the cops and heroes? This guy tried to kidnap me. Izuku was shaking as the adrenaline left his system, making the poor emerald cinnamon roll look completely terrifying. Within seconds, 5 heroes and a SWAT team arrived along with Inko, who rushed over to her son, hugging him. The police and heroes asked Izuku to remove the cuffs and the cast since even one who was super strong couldn't break it. Izuku walked over and absorbed the 2 items, only for the guy to punch him. The muscle-bound would-be kidnapper was instantly subdued after he sent Izuku's head through a nearby bookstore window. The kidnapper looked smug. Don't be mad, Beach, now you're rich. He then started to laugh until he saw something that scared him. Izuku's head was on a jade skeleton and slowly reforming his emerald flesh, green gold veins, and porcelain skin as if nothing happened. Once his shoulders formed, he formed a long shirt made out of green gold threads so nothing too personal was seen. Mommy, I'm okay but I'm scared. Izuku ran to him. Mom's attempted murder of a minor was added to the kidnapper's charges. After Izuku calmed down, he removed his clothes from his old body by breaking it and splitting the shards with the bookstore, the SWAT team, and the heroes that showed up. That's when he met his idol. Izuku didn't realize it at first since he had his head down. All Might chuckling, "Thank you so much, young one. I bet you'd be a great hero when you grow up." When he heard his voice, Izuku looked up and went into total fanboy mode and asked for an autograph. Inko, the heroes, and the cops that were still there were laughing at how quickly he perked up hearing All Might's voice. All Might actually removed his gloves and handed them to the hyper little boy after signing both of them. "All Might, here you go, young one. I think this is a fair trade." As he said that, he showed Izuku that the chunk he received had the temporary tattoo of him on it. This made Izuku blush as All Might said that he will cover it in resin and keep it forever. This made Izuku hug him gently before he left with his mom. Unfortunately, there were plenty attempts to kidnap Izuku over the next 10 years. Eventually, Izuku just encases people who attempt it and wait for the cops. Over the years of haircuts, nail clippings, some accidents where he gets hurt, and some bounties because of kidnappers had made the Midoriyas and the Bakugos rich. Both Katsuki and Izuku plan to go to UA to be heroes. It has been 10 years since I found out what my quirk is. Over those long, tortuous years, I've actually made a special tally system for each event that happened. I have 369 jade marbles for attempted kidnapping, 122 green diamond marbles for mugging, 22 green gold ball bearings for hostage situations, and luckily only 5 emerald marbles for how many times people have tried to kill me. These marbles are currently in a box under my bed. My mom doesn't know about 90% of these event marbles, so she won't worry about me. It's the last day of school until I go to either a general education high school or UA. The day went on as usual, people bugging me for money or gems, Kakin scaring them off, us getting into the classroom, and going through today's lessons. At the end of the day, the teacher joked about us all wanting to be heroes, so no need for a job placement test. Kakin then yelled, "Don't lump me and Izuku with these extras. Both of us are going to UA." That's when the class jerk spoke. "Yeah, you'll both get in by bribing your way through the test." The muscle-bound idiot said, "I bet Izuku will pay off the entire group of people taking the test to fail so only you two get in." With that, his 3 goons chuckled as he walked over to me. "By the way, Emerald Boy, you owe me money for putting my dad in jail." I sighed, already tired of this. "Listen here, Rocks for Brains, if your dad didn't try to kill me 10 years ago, he wouldn't be in jail." That's right, the first person who tried to kidnap me was this idiot's father. The brute then punched me. In the split second before his fist hit me, I decided to pull a trick I call Jade Skeleton. My entire body hit the wall as I forced all but my skeleton and some sections of my emerald flesh to turn to dust. The entire classroom was silent. It stayed that way until I decided to strike. After picking myself off the floor as a skeleton, I slowly walked over to Rocks for Brains, my jaw hanging open, one leg somewhat dragging, and both arms out straight. This made the entire classroom scream, including RFB. The coward literally fell backwards and was trying to crawl away, screaming that he was sorry and he didn't mean to kill me. After he crawled into a corner, I grabbed and lifted him. That's when he asked for mercy, the one line I wanted to hear. "Sorry," all out of mercy. I pretended to get ready to punch him, but instead I drop him and reform my body, glad my clothes weren't ruined by his punch. Once I was fully reformed, I went to my seat laughing. Seriously, if knocking my head off my body doesn't kill me at 4, I'm much harder to kill now. Kakin shook his head. "Izuku, that joke went too far. Even I thought you were dead and Puppeteer in the corner was moving you." But that the bell rang and we all left to go home. I decided to run by the jeweler to get another haircut, so I took a longer way home which would bring me by him. Along the way there, I went under a bridge and nearly got knocked over by a manhole cover tossed by a massive slime. "Perfect, a bodysuit to hide in," the slime creature said before charging at me. When he touched me, I quickly coated him with emeralds. Great, I have to add 2 more emerald marbles to my collection. What's with people wanting to kill me today? I sigh as I pull my phone from my backpack. Go call the police. When I find the number for the police, All Might pops out of the sewer. Thank you for catching this guy. Why do these emeralds look so familiar?" All Might said as he looked the caught Sludge over. I laughed. "Hey All Might, you still have my arm in your trophy case." When I asked him that, he walked over and hugged me. "Young Midoriya, how long has it been since I last saw you? You've grown up like a weed." I returned the hug. 2 years and 52 marbles ago. "What do you mean by 52 marbles? All Might asked as I called the police and had them on their way. I actually started a tally system for how many times I've been kidnapped, mugged, held hostage, and when they try to kill me. I got 2 more marbles today from a classmate in this sewer dweller. I explained as I leaned against the bejeweled sludge. By the time the police arrived, All Might left to avoid the cameras of press. The sludge changed back to his human form, and I was playing Bloons Tower Defense 30 on my phone. After the guy was detained, I got my haircut, some Pocky, a case of my favorite soda, a case of my mom's favorite, and a new cast iron skillet for mom since she accidentally broke hers last time I was in trouble. Apparently back before Quirk, some moms would wait for their kids to get home late and threaten them with paddles or pans until they told the truth as to why they were late. Now it's not as common, but because of how often I get in trouble whenever mom and I go out, she carries the skillet in her purse to beat up the bad guys and me if it's my fault. She actually has a fan group calling her skillet Mama, the cast iron protector. After about the 50th kidnapping, she got an honorary hero's license just so she can use her quirk in public, which has grown much stronger since then. Mom, I'm home with gifts, I yelled as I closed the front door of our much bigger house. With how much money I make with just the haircuts and nail clippings alone, we could afford a fully staffed mansion, but we agreed that's too much, so we live in a 2-story house. Izu, you were on the TV again. What did you do to provoke the sludge? Mom asked as she put my gifts away. He was running from All Might and he wanted to use me as a bodysuit. Also, the cast iron pan has an emerald core to hopefully make it last longer, I said as I ate my Pocky. Izuku, if I didn't know better, I'd say you looked for trouble, but I know it's the opposite. Mom sighed as she put the cast iron pan into her going out purse. How much can you move with your mind now, Mom? I ask as I start to make us both supper. About 6 tons now, and I can send it away now too. No more headaches from using it too much either. That reminds me, this was in the mail. Mom replied as a letter floated in front of me. I laugh. Put it on my bed, please, Mommy, show off. She laughed as she put it there. I have to be to keep up with Sir Emerald. After we cleaned up from supper, I went to my room, adding 2 marbles to attempted murder, and opened the letter. It was from Principal Nezu from UA, which surprised me. Dear Midoriya Izuku, I have been watching you since you beat death at 4 and created emerald handcuffs that even All Might couldn't break. Because of your various exploits over the past 4 years, ranging from ending hostage situations, helping the poor, and catching your own kidnappers, I am giving you the first ever instant acceptance. No need for recommendations or going through the test. You are now officially in class of 1 when school starts. Now before you get mad, you can have fun and go through the tests anyways. I can't wait to see you in 10 months. Sincerely, Principal Nezu. I read it about 10 times before I rushed down and told my mom. When she read it, she cried and hugged me. Honestly, if I still needed to breathe, I would have been dead by the time she was done. Mom, you're breaking my skin. She let me go and apologized right as there was a knock on the door. I answered it and looked the guy over. All Might, are you okay? You look like a skeleton. I know, cause I was one earlier. Young Midoriya, how did you know it was me? All Might asked while holding my arm that was in a block of resin. I let him in as I answered. Same hair, just droopier, same eyes, and same way of talking. Also, you're holding my arm. He chuckled and rubbed the back of his head. Good point. Is your mom home? I would like to talk to both of you. I lead him to the living room and put the resin-covered arm on the couch next to him. Mrs. Midoriya and young Midoriya, I would like to give my recommendation to get into UA to you, young Midoriya. I processed what he said, then showed him the letter. I'm honored, but Principal Nezu beat you to it. I am going to be in 1A. He read it and laughed. I guess when I talked to him 10 years ago, you stuck out to him. Well, since that is done, the other reason I am here. Young Midoriya, I want you to be the next symbol of peace and my successor. He then told us about the history of his quirk. I accepted his quirk, and the next day we started my training. What he thought would take 10 months actually only took a week and 3 days. It would have been quicker if I knew I could make clones of myself. After a week of cleaning, I got mad that I wasn't making much progress. This is taking forever. If there was more of me, this wouldn't take so long. With those words barely out of my lips, I began trying to make duplicates of myself. After 2 days of trying, I made myself an army. 200 of each of the materials I was made of. Emeralds were on crushing duty. Jade was on burning duty and moving the ashes into bags. Green diamonds then made the ashes into more diamonds to sell later, and green gold moved the crushed metals over to the nearby scrap yard. By the time we were done, the crushers and the diamond makers were buff as hell compared to me. I absorbed them once the beach was cleaned and yelled in what I could only describe as a paper cut I got when I was 3 multiplied by a forest worth of paper and coated with lemon juice. After about 10 minutes, it ended in my jeans and t-shirt I came out and were shredded from the muscles I just developed. Well, honestly, I just got stronger looking and I could use more strength than before. All Might, my idea worked too well. Can you run to the nearby store and get me a new outfit, maybe 2 sizes up? I asked while I wrapped myself up in the beach blanket we used for lunch. He ran off with the money I got from scrap and jewels while I shivered in the blanket. When he came back, I walked over to a nearby beach shower so I could change. Once out, All Might chuckled. Maybe 2 more sizes. They look like skinny jeans and a muscle shirt on you. I nodded and, using my new muscles, lifted up All Might in his muscle form with one hand. After joking a bit, All Might gave me some of his hair to eat, saying it's how I will get his quirk. I ate it, and when it was digested I could use it at 100% easily without any damage. We then spent the next 2 months and 2 weeks to get me really good at regulating how much I use. As a joke I used 10% and flicked my fingers at the ocean. What I didn't expect is that the flick parted the ocean up to about 15 meters into the ocean for a few seconds. When All Might saw that, he asked me to form a focusing band around my hands to focus what he called air flicks from wide range to a focused air bullet. I did so, causing the ocean to stay parted longer and deeper to the point that I couldn't see the end of it. He congratulated me and said I can rest until the school year starts. When I told him I was going to do the test anyways, he patted me on the back and said, "Go on ahead, just don't use one for all unless really needed, okay?" I agreed, and him, my mom, and I went out for katsudon for supper. I wonder what the entrance exam will be like. It's been a couple of weeks since I got one for all. Since that day I've gotten a lot more attention from muscle builders, girls, and some pro heroes. Midnight, the R-rated superhero, asked me out on a date, but when I told her I was in high school she blushed and apologized. I honestly was flattered, and I did get her autograph, along with her number, saying call her when I graduate. All Might and my mom teased me about it after I told them. Today I was planning on going to the mall to grab some new clothes as I just got another haircut and had the money. After grabbing a month's worth of new clothes I checked out the nearby hero memorabilia store. I bought a Gran Torino, another All Might, and a Midnight action figures. The store owner was nice until he looked up at me. Apparently someone recorded Midnight asking me out and put it on Hero 2. He wasn't happy. I turned down Midnight until I showed him my ID proving my age, since that bit of me explaining my age was removed from the video. He apologized and gave me a free present Mike action figure. I thanked him and left happy with my haul of stuff. Once I left the mall I was stopped by a small group of muscle heads. The leader was wearing a Midnight shirt, so I knew what was going to happen. "Are you Izuku Midoriya?" the idiot asked. I simply nodded. If this about me rejecting Midnight, it's because it's illegal for adults to date kids under 18. The guy chuckled and walked over, grabbing my hair. This idiot started to drag me to an alleyway by my hair. I led him to get the beatdown over. "Dude, if you want to fight you just had to ask," I say as I stop letting him drag me. He tries to make me move for a bit, then growls. Guys, knock him out. The hand wearer just wants him alive. That's when I felt bats, chains, and knives hit me. Of course they all bent or broke. While you are a group of blockheads, I can't believe you're using iron and steel against a living emerald. I shook my head and, using my speed boost from One for All, knocked them all out. I then bound them all together with emeralds before I pull out my phone calling the cops. This happens so often I got a direct line to the SWAT units. As I waited, Kamui Woods and Death Arms walked by on patrol. They saw me and tried to attack me. I blocked them with a wall of jade. Whoa, calm down, heroes. They attacked me. I just called the police and they will be here soon. Kamu didn't listen. Let those people go, villain, or else. My name is Izuku Midoriya. These people attacked me to take me to some guy who wears hands. If he'd wait for the police, they'll help clear up this confusion. I yelled through the jade wall before Kamui used his wood-based quirk to bust through it and catch me in some odd wooden cage. Instead of fighting, I just sat down and sighed. I swear every time there's a new hero, they are always quick to attack. After a couple of minutes, the police come along with a person friend of mine, Detective Tsukachi. He just laughed as he saw me in Kamui's cage. "This is what, the 23rd time you've been wrongly detained by heroes?" I sighed. "You've lost count a long time ago. This time is 340th time, not including Endeavor's streak of trying to burn me." Kamui let me go and I helped the officers handcuff and transfer the attempted kidnappers. Kamui didn't apologize. Instead, him and Death Arms just left with grumbling from the wooden jerk. After catching up with the detective, I left to go home with my stuff. Mom was at the door when I got there. I couldn't even say hi before I felt the cat iron pan I had made for her hit me. "Why did you fight a hero?" Mom basically screamed at me. "The news lies, Mom, and you know it when it comes to me. The thugs behind me tried to kidnap me." Kamui jumped to conclusions. "Oh, and Detective Tsukachi says hi." I reply as I rub where she hit me. Mom of course apologized and found some liquid porcelain stuff to fix the cracks in my skin from the pan. We ate supper a bit later and I decided to go out for a jog. After an hour of jogging, a girl stopped me. Her hair was in two messy blonde buns. She was in a school uniform I didn't recognize, and she had fangs. "Hey there, big boy, what's the rush?" "I'm Toga, what's your name?" she asked as she kept her hands behind her back. "I am sorry, Toga, but I must be heading home. I have training tomorrow," I replied as I walked by her. As I got just beyond her, I felt a knife hit my back where my heart would be if I had one, and heard what sounded like a dull piano note. I turned to look at her and nearly burst out laughing at how confused she looked as she studied her now bent knife. "Toga, either you sit down willingly and wait for the cops or I force you to." "Your choice," I said softly. She promptly sat on a nearby bench and looked up at me as I called the cops. As we waited, she asked, "What was that note earlier, and why does my knife look like it hit a brick wall?" I chuckled. "I'm guessing we are the same age, so you should have heard of the Emerald Child." When she nodded, she then realized why I asked that. You're that kid. I thought it was just a rumor. I laughed and shook my head. Nope, quite real. Now I'm guessing you're a runaway with a vampire quirk. I'm going to have you sent to a special institution for people who gone crazy because of their quirk. Hopefully after you've been treated you can be a hero too. Not too much longer after that the police took her and I started heading home. I formed a green gold pipe and started hitting different parts of my body, causing different piano notes, and a badly aimed swing caused me to fall over. Note to self, form a cup next time I attempt to be a piano. Why is it that there has pain when the rest of my body doesn't? Once I got home, I sewed the hole in my shirt shut and let my porcelain skin naturally heal the tiny bit that was left. The next morning I answered the door as someone was ringing the doorbell like crazy. Can I help you? I asked a bit sharply since it was 7 a.m. I looked over what looked like a purple gas cloud with 2 yellow sections for eyes for a few seconds before he spoke. I am Kirigiri and I have a message from your father. I groaned. Tell Dad I'm not falling for it. You know how often people claim that. Have a good day but go. I slammed the door and went to sit on the couch only for Kirigiri to be sitting on it already. Izuku Midoriya, may I at least give you the message? I made myself a drink. Fine, just make it quick. I want you gone before Mom wakes up. I pointed to the hanging cast iron skillet and he nodded. Your dad Hisashi Midoriya wants to see you again. He left a bit before your quirk formed and he is sorry that he was away for so long. To make up for it, he wants to give you a family heirloom before he dies and return your other quirk. I dropped my cup at the last bit. Instead of my cup breaking, Kirigiri caught it through a portal and put it down in front of me. He expected your reaction to be like that. So do you want to meet him again? You might want to get Inko up to see her husband again. Ever heard the phrase, speak of the devil and he will appear? Well, my mom then entered the room having heard all of it. I know it's most likely not Hisashi, but if it is him, I'd love to see him again. Kirigiri then created a portal nearby and out came a guy with no face above his mouth. He had tubes all over his throat and neck as if to keep him alive. Inko, Izuku, I'm finally home again. He started to cough up some blood as he sat down on a nearby chair. I'm sorry, it's not under better circumstances, my 2 emeralds. Izuku, I know you want proof that I am your father. As he said that, he pulled out a drawing I made when I was 4. It was the 3 of us in the city of Oz from the old movie. Mom and I instantly hugged him and he chuckles before coughing again. Now I don't have much time left, so let's get this done, he said as he gently pushed us away. First, son, take this heirloom. It was my dad's, and since you're my son, it's my turn to pass it on. Kirigiri then pulled out a crystal skull and handed it to me. It is a prop from one of our favorite movies. I bet you could make a real one now though. Now son, it is time I gave you back your second quirk. It is a stronger version of my own. My quirk lets me take and give quirks, while yours could also copy and strengthen quirks. I will give it back and give you all the quirks I've taken over the years. I know you're a hero now, but I must warn you. Some quirks I have are very evil quirks. Honestly, no quirk, only its user can be evil. Kneel or sit next to me, son. I sat next to him in a chair and he set his hand on my head. At first I felt nothing. It wasn't until I saw that my eyes were like headlights did I realize something was happening. Once it was done, Dad coughed. I'm proud of you, son. I know you'll be a much bigger and better man than I was. When the police find me, and tell everyone who I am, that my legacy as all for one doesn't ruin your chances at a perfect future. The news of you being a villain's son will cause you trouble, but please rise above it. Inko, in my centuries of living, you are the only person I loved. I'm sorry I couldn't risk the heroes finding you and our son. He hugged us both, then left through the portal with Kirigiri. I put the skull on my dresser and called All Might. He answered a bit groggily. Young Midoriya, is there something wrong? I steadied my nerves and shakily asked, remember that you told me about some guy called All for One? Well, I just meet him again. He was my father and he's dying. All Might was silent for about 5 minutes before he hung up on me. 2 hours later, it was on the news about Dad's body being found in an old abandoned building. They also told the entire world that I was his son and that my mom was married to him. This started the months of hell that nearly killed my mom. The news revealed who my dad was, and everyone, even Kaken, was treating us like the plague. Mom stayed at home as she was fired the second the news finished the report. In the next week or 2 she was going to sue for wrongful termination, but the court keeps delaying it. First it was to happen in the same month, and now it's set up to happen right when I go into UA. The jeweler I go to only lets me in at night so his business won't go under because people claim my emeralds and such are cursed. It has been a week since the news and I hear my phone go off. It's another unlisted number. Hello, the caller, go jump off a roof, devils spawn. Click. I am actually used to it because it happens often. Usually it's the house phone, not my cell. I barely put it down when All Might calls me. Hey young Midoriya, we need to talk. Beach at midnight. Sure, I have nothing else to do with all the death threats I get, I sarcastically say before he hangs up. I get to the beach right before midnight using an odd teleporting quirk my father gave me. I sat in the shadows and waited for All Might to show up. When he does, instead of saying hi, How are you holding up? This pompous jerk slaps me. Why didn't you tell me that your dad was my rival? Why did you stay quiet as I told you what he has done to me?" All Might yelled as he cried some. "I didn't know. He abandoned me and my mom right before I got my gem body. He came to apologize for ditching us and give me back a quirk he took from me. It was a better version of his quirk," I said as I rubbed my cheek. I felt guilty even talking to him. I nearly jumped off a roof before I remembered I can't die because of my second natural quirk. For 5 minutes All Might was quiet. For 5 minutes I waited, unable to cry to show how bad I felt. "Give me back one for all. I was wrong to give it to you." After a minute of me looking dumbfounded, he repeated himself. "Return my quirk now or I will put you in Tartarus myself." I duplicated it and gave it back the original. "There, take it. I have a copy of it anyways." Benefits of my quirk. I formed a crystal that looked as clear as a perfect pool of water. All Might, let's make a bet. This crystal has my better version of your quirk stored in it. Have Nezu set up a special test just for me. If I pass, I can use my version like I was going to use yours, as a hero. If I fail, I'll destroy this crystal in front of you and do my best to be a hero anyways. Just because I am related to a villain doesn't mean that I am one. Before All Might could respond, I warped home and put all my stuff of All Might in a box and then put the box in the attic with the label Dream Wrecker. As the next few months happen, I train at multiple different ruin locations. First, compact the trash, burn what I can, sell the scrap metal, buy stuff to fix up the place, and make sure plenty of people see me and my gemians working. At first they threw trash and stuff at me, which I quickly used to make ash or scrap metal. When they saw me give the gems I create to orphanages or soup kitchens, they lessen up some, but not everyone thinks I am a good person. Once I finished fixing up the second location, someone walked over with the cops claiming I robbed him. Some people were eager to agree with him until he said I just mugged him 10 minutes ago. When he said that 4 people who are actually there the whole time recording me stood up for me. Recorder 1, that's impossible. He has been here for the past 6 hours. I have proof. I've been streaming him working online. The other 3 showed the cops their recordings and the guy was fined for false claims. After that, a few other people just wanting me in jail tried to taunt me, threw rotten food at me, and threatened my mom's well-being. I never fought them or reacted. I only kept my training going. At 5 months till the entrance exam, I got a message from Jerk Might. He wanted to meet up, but I ignored him. After a week of him just messaging me, he was at my current training area one morning. I asked him to get out of my way and started my training again. No matter what he tried to say or did to get my attention, I ignored him. Recorder 1, who I later learned was named Sam. Oi, Skeletor, leave him alone. He doesn't want to talk to you. Young Midoriya is a friend of mine, so please butt out of this. I stood up and looked at him. Friend? You dare call me that after you treated me like everyone else after they found out who my father was? Something I didn't know until a few minutes before it hit the damn news. Don't you dare call yourself my friend ever again. Leave me alone and make sure Nezu sets up the test as our bet needs, unless he is rescinding his offer of me joining UA. When he left, I sat down on the ground for a bit and did my equivalent of crying. Instead of regular tears, I cry aquamarine in the shape of tears, something I didn't expect nor anyone watching me. When it was 4 months till my mom was attacked by a bunch of concerned citizens, I quickly ran to the hospital and found her waiting in the lobby with a knife still in her gut. Using a few quirks, I quickly healed her and got us both home. After that, I returned to the hospital and healed everyone inside to the best of my abilities. You people say you're here to heal people. I guess that means only if they aren't related to or are villains. Now, because of you all being hypocritical, I now have a new training regiment, healing every single person I can to keep them out of this hypocritical hellhole you call a hospital. I yelled, using a few voice modification quirks to make me much louder so everyone heard me. The next 2 months, my war against that hospital nearly bankrupted it and a few others around them. Soon the hospitals came together and actually hired goons to try to kill me. I ran into a public area with them chasing me. When one tried to stab me, I reacted by encasing him in emeralds to keep him in place. The other 2 tried to use their quirks on me with the same results. I then called the cops and told them to hurry because I barely had enough energy to encase them properly and one was already cracking. It took them 3 hours to get to me, and during that long wait I had to knock all 3 out twice to keep them from killing me. I made sure to keep the cuts instead of healing them and pointed out multiple buildings with cameras they could use to prove I am not in the wrong. Instead of listening, I was detained. When Detective Tsukachi questioned me and the goons, those hospitals were closed forever and I was released from captivity since the officers that arrived thought I was just staging something. I barely got out of my cell when a rookie cop kicked me back in and closed the cell. Needless to say, Detective Tsukachi tore him a new one and the people at Dispatch for not taking my calls seriously and making me wait 3 hours where I could have been destroyed or kidnapped with no proof of where I was taken. I healed myself as I left and headed home. When I arrived late at my current project, which happened to be an old park, Sam questioned me. Yo Midoriya, why are you late today and may I record this or is it too personal? I let him and told him what happened. Damn, that shows that a lot of stuff is rotten in the system, huh? I simply nodded and started cleaning up the place. Once I was done, I hired a company to put in new play equipment, paying them in cash 4 times than what it would normally cost. What I didn't know is that Sam recorded it and posted it online as Playground Builders overcharged Good Samaritan. About a week later, they tried to return the money they overcharged me, but I told them to use it to fix up old playgrounds or make a new one. Of course, Sam recorded it and posted it as well. At about 2 weeks left, another group of people attacked my mom. This time I saw it happen. I carried my mom on my back to a nearby hospital that knew not to cross me, and then the idiots to the police station by rolling them in a giant emerald hamster ball. Once there, I was very snarky. These idiots attacked my mom. Have fun breaking them out. Use the emeralds to fund your hypocritical police station. I left them there chipping away at the big ball. After that, I got the nickname Spite. In spite of everyone treating me like a villain, I was a good Samaritan that went way above what's needed. In spite of people trying to kill me, I never did more than knock them out. In spite of the entire world being against me, I still made it better. Kids loved the parks I had made, and when they saw me, they would thank me before their parents yanked them away from me. 3 days before the entrance exam, All Might talked my mom into letting him in the house. When I saw him, I tried to walk by him, but he stepped in front of the door. Get out of my way, jerk Might. I have nothing to say to you other than see you at the test, I said to him, my voice so full of venom he even looked scared. Young Midoriya, I'm sorry for overreacting. You truly are worthy of being my successor. I want to give you permission to use my quirk and the copy you made. Please forgive me, an old fool stuck in the past. I thought for a second, then pulled out the crystal. He smiled, thinking I was about to forgive him. I broke the crystal in front of him and got in his face. I never want to ever have your hateful quirk again. I want nothing to do with you and the other hypocrites in this world. Now leave my home before you're missing your other lung. My eyes and venom-filled voice made him run out of my house as if I lit his as on fire. On second thoughts, I kinda wish I had, but then again, I don't need to go to jail. A few hours after scaring Jerk Might half to death and I've been working my latest project, Endeavor showed up. Without even trying to talk to me, he attacked me. I simply avoided his flame-covered attacks and looked at him. I have done nothing wrong. Why are you attacking me? No answer, only more punching and some added kicking. This kept up a while as Sam called the cops. They arrived and took me to jail for no reason. When I am questioned by people with a lie detection quirk, I was not at fault for Endeavor attacking me. When he was questioned, 3 days later, he admitted he only wanted to put me in jail so I couldn't apply to UA. They let me go and made him pay a fine. Then that flaming pile of trash made the news lie about him arresting me only for me to get out due to some stupid technicality. Now I was furious. I called all of the news channels to meet me at one of my projects. When they all arrived, I did an announcement. I am ashamed of what this world is like. You treat me as if I am my biological father who left me before I could really form memories of him. I am attacked by concerned citizens, and the exact same people then tried to kill my mom. Instead of finding her in an being treated, I find her in the lobby. Luckily for me, my father returned my second biological quirk. That's right, I was born with 2 quirks. I am a living emerald able to copy quirks permanently and enhance them. I was able to save my mom and everyone else in the hospital except for those beyond my abilities. Then as I try to enhance our town by fixing up trashed lots, what happens? I take a quick breath and a drink before continuing. I get trash and rotten food thrown at me. After that, I get overcharged to get each lot turned into a playground. Then 4 days ago, Endeavor attacked me for no reason. He only attacked me because he didn't want me to apply to UA. It's hypocrites and people who are heroes just for fame and money that are making this world horrible. If you want proof of Endeavor's stupid reason, watch this. I motion for Sam to start the projector and speakers where Endeavor literally admits why he attacked me. After hearing and seeing it, the entire group of people there gasped. Now that is not the kind of hero we want in this world. I swear once I become a pro hero, no matter which school I go to, is to get rid of all heroes like this. This is an unfortunate truth of the world and I will change it as a pro hero. I answered a few questions and someone mentioned All Might. I rather not talk about one of the biggest hypocrites in our society. He trained me for 1 month only to abandon me once the news broke of my father. He is no better than Endeavor. With that, I ended the press conference and went home. My mom wasn't happy when she saw the conference but was proud of me standing up for myself. We went out for Katsuden with everyone giving us wide berth. We ate dinner and went home. We got a flood of the usual hate calls plus a few people claiming that I'm a bold-faced liar. The next day, All Might admitted to training me until he found out I was related to his main enemy. He claimed to be sorry, but I turned off the TV anyways. I was sick of hearing his lies. Can't wait to prove him wrong for taking back his quirk and losing the best choice for the next holder. I'm glad I erased the small power boost I had gotten from it before I returned it. That quirk isn't worth holding my quirks and personality. I have been waiting for this day. The day I make All Might eat his words. For this reason, I arrived early at UA and set up what I call Quirk Walk. It's a very thin layer of green diamond, and everyone who steps on it gets their quirk copied and added to my collection. Thanks to some odd reason, both regular applicants and those who are recommendations are both testing the same day. I came so early I even have the teacher's quirks. Present mic and some talking to animals quirks combined will be very useful in a forest. Once everyone else was in, I joined them, quickly absorbing the QW. I aced the written test and turned it in, heading to the auditorium with the other regular applicants. Once everyone who passed came to the auditorium, Present Mike started his stupid speech explaining the test. Right when he finished saying 3 bots are worth points, some idiot interrupted. "Excuse me, sir. The pamphlet everyone was given says there are 4 bots, not 3. Either the pamphlet is wrong or you are." Now boy in the back in the black outfit, quit standing around and acting like a creep. You scared plenty of people away from testing today. I couldn't help but laugh a bit, then remove my black hood. If I scare them, then they are not worthy of coming here, and I am not sitting because I will not sully UAS precious seats with my villain DNA. I said, using Present Mike's quirk. Now I know for certain there is 4 bot types, but I bet it's worthless point-wise. Now how about you shut up and let the energetic cockatoo finish speaking? When I finished speaking, people got over their shock of me being there and did one of 2 things: attack me or run to the other side of the room. Needless to say, I quickly put them all back into their seats using my emeralds. I sigh. Trust me, if I was a villain, I would have killed you all before you got to this room. Now sit down and listen to him. Present Mike was shocked I used his quirk, but quickly continued. As he stated, the 4th bot is a 0-pointer and more of an obstacle. Avoided at all costs. Now, Midoriya, how were you positive there were 4 types? I laughed a bit. You're using my hair and their circuitry. In the months after All Might dropped me like a rotten potato, I've learned much more about my quirks. This stunned the entire group of people here and made a nearby door suddenly slam open. It was of course All Might. "There you are, young Midoriya. Principal Nezu was looking for you," he said with a smile. I growled. "You will call me Mr. Midoriya. You lost the privilege to call me young Midoriya." The room gasped and Jerk Might nodded, leading me to Principal Nezu. I entered the room and looked at the odd small rodent, quickly sending a very thin, invisible strand of hair out to duplicate his quirk since I didn't have it. "Oh, you must be Izuku Midoriya. I'm Principal Nezu and I set up your test. You must destroy all the bots in Site Gamma in 2 minutes. I look at the campus map on the wall to locate Site Gamma and then chuckle. Done. All are now worthless. Nezu and Jerk Might checked and what I said was true. All the bots were shredded from the inside out. Then strands of my hair come through the wall, avoiding wiring and pipes. It then became a chair behind me that I sit on. Needless to say, both had their jaws hanging. Wait, the diamond strands we were using were your hair. I nodded and smirked as I watched fear cover Jerk Might's face. Nezu was the first to collect himself. You copied a lot of quirks, didn't you? All Might told me that your second quirk is to copy and enhance them. I simply nodded and glared at Jerk Might. I can also downgrade them. I removed my quirk and mental copy from it before I returned it. When he asked me to forgive him, I destroyed the changed version in front of him. Mr. Midoriya, I really am sorry. All Might started to say. Shut it, Jerk Might. I don't want or need your pathetic quirk. I will be a hero without it, and I will keep your successor as number 2 as I take the top. I snapped at him, causing him to flinch. I sigh and absorb my chair. If you accept me, I will be civil to him but never friendly. Maybe one day I may forgive him, but not soon. After bowing to Nezu and glaring at Jerk Might, I leave the room. I watch the others do their simple tests, chuckling at how much some are struggling. I'm about to leave when I hear a girl yell for help. Without thinking, I jump down to her from my floating emerald and quickly get her out from under the concrete rubble on her. As I turn to face the 0-pointer, I have a Jade clone move her to safety before I make my hands bigger than the stupid bot and crush it along with the buildings close to it. Once it was a compressed ball the size of a meatball, I eat it, then walk over to the girl, absorbing my clone as I get close. I heal her wounds, then everyone else's, before I walk out. The walk home was boring as no one even bothered to mess with me. I kind of miss the fights and the kidnappings. The human interaction of it is what I crave. Heck, even a person booing me would be nice. Once I was home, I showered, drank some soda, and waited for Mom. Hopefully the places Mom visits will hire her. She could use a job. It's been a little bit since Izuku left the office and saved the young girl. What did you do, All Might? That kid looks like he wants you dead. I flinch when Nezu says that. He was to be Mu's successor until I found out who his dad was. I panicked and made him return the quirk even though he used 100% without any problem. Nezu glares, then hits me upside the head. You numbskull. You could have made him like his father by doing that. He is already partly on that path. He formed a very thin layer of what I'm guessing is his green diamond hair over the walkway and probably used it to copy quirks. He probably copied mine when he came in here. Now if he ever goes evil, we can't stop him. I know I'm a fool. Hopefully I can make it up to him and return this quirk to him. It hasn't felt like mine since he returned it. I sigh. I really hope that he forgives me sooner than later. Nezu shook his head. I currently see it as later. You really crushed him. He saw you as his idol over 10 years ago. The worst person to crush a dream is someone you look up to. I was personally called by Principal Nezu the next day. Of course I was put in a 1, but I know he just put me there so I wouldn't be a villain. After grabbing the school supplies I would need, I just waited the weeks until class. My mom was proud of me, but for some reason it felt hollow. I was doing what I have dreamed of for years, but it left a bitter taste in my mouth. That was when I realized I'm doing this out of spite, and the only way I will enjoy this is if I let it go. That's when I thought up something. Mom, I have a mean idea I want to pull on UA for a while. I am going to be very sharp and cold with All Might and Kaken, but nice to everyone else for a while. My mom thought for a bit. Well, I had Mitsuki reduce Katsuki's allowance a ton and ground him, but sure, go ahead. They deserve it. I smile and go to bed ready to put on the best performance ever. This will be a fun month or two. The first day came and I just warped into the classroom and sat at a seat in the back of the room and near the windows. I just sat there and looked out the window as the entire class slowly walked in. Their shocked gasps, soft whispering, and choosing seats furthest away from me was funny to hear. Then came in Kaken. He walked over to me and I glared at him. Don't bug me, Katsuki. I don't want to hear it. Just get your seat and shut up. I snapped at him while still looking out the window. Of course he went to his seat and more of the class filed in. Then I saw Interrupter walk in. He robotically walks over to me. What are you doing here, villain? Kaken quickly walked over and pulled him away. Izuku is not a villain. Just because his father was doesn't mean he is one. The blue-haired boy yanked out of Kaken's grasp and marched right back over. I, Tenya Ida, will not let a villain be in my class. This idiot grabbed me by my arm and yanked. I let that arm pop off and I yelled in pain. What the F is your mental deficiency? I am not a villain and it still hurts when I lose a limb. I slowly regrow a new arm. I start off with the jade bones. Then my green gold veins, my flesh then formed slowly muscle by muscle. When my porcelain skin finally formed, a bunch of my classmates were sickly green. Sorry about that. I usually heal much faster. Haven't really ate properly with everyone trying to put me in jail for no reason. I move my arm around before grabbing the removed arm and take the sleeve from it using my hair to sew it back on. I relax once it's on. Look, Ada, was it? I want to be a hero and I want people that are just in it for fame to leave. That was why I was do evil acting in the auditorium. Ada stiffened and went to his seat. That's when the girl I saved walked over. You're the boy who saved and healed me during the test. I'm Ochako Uraraka. Thank you so much for saving me. You left so suddenly I wasn't able to thank you till now. The others in the class were shocked. I then looked at a sleeping bag on the floor. Hello, Mr. Aizawa. You need to get the sleeping bags with legs if you want to be in one and move, I say with a chuckle, causing him to stand straight up. Does such a thing really exist? This made many girls scream, thinking it was a giant bug. I know someone here has a creation quirk. I copied it as you entered the school to do the entrance exam. A long black-haired girl stands up. My name is Momo and you copied my quirk. I walked over and touched her shoulder. Wasn't sure if it was you or dual chromatic hair. I just boosted it for you. Now you don't need your skin to be exposed to create stuff, and it's now a mix of your body fats and energy in the air to make stuff. Can you make a sleeping bag with legs for Mr. Aizawa, please? I'm still memorizing atomic structures and how they all work together. She nodded and was happy as she formed it without removing her clothes. When she gave it to Aizawa, he instantly put it on and moonwalked a tiny bit. Thank you both, now all to sports field, Aizawa said as he tossed everyone gym uniforms and kinda skipped out of the classroom. I took mine and walked to the locker room. Once we were all there, Aizawa looked at me. How many can you boost at a time and how long? I pretend to think. It's a permanent boost, but my limit is 20 per month. I quickly boost Aizawa's and tell him when he blocks a quirk he doesn't need to look at them anymore. It'll stay blocked for a day unless he undoes it. I would boost more, but not every classmate will get a boost and I know some don't trust me. With that, Uraraka walked up and volunteered to be boosted. Her gravity quirk now doesn't make her nauseous and she can increase something's gravity. After that, I boosted everyone's quirk except Kaken and Mineta. They all did their tests with their boosted quirks. After a bit, I made my leg ding, getting everyone's attention. Mineta, come here please. When he hesitantly walked over, I boosted his quirk. Now his grape-shaped glue orbs can shapeshift into basic items like swords and daggers. Sorry Katsuki, I won't have another booster point for a while. I hope your ego doesn't make you crazy as you wait. After a few hours of trying out their boosts and a few hitting Mineta, unfortunately he is a pervert. We all change, shower, and go eat lunch. Everyone is much more relaxed around me. I am nice and polite with everyone except Kaken, and when someone mentions All Might I stiffen, forming jade spikes. After a few seconds I'd retract the spikes and apologize. After lunch we all did our boring normal classes. I just teleported home after class. I walked into the living room after changing into some shorts and a t-shirt. I boosted everyone in my class's quirks except for Kaken's. He looked really mad. My mom laughed softly and shook her head. Don't tease him too bad. He does deserve it, but still. I nodded and relaxed to watch TV. I wake up and take a shower to clean off my porcelain skin. Once I was dry and in today's uniform, I head downstairs for breakfast. I eat my breakfast and begin to cough. I cough for a couple of minutes before I spit up a giant lump of emerald equal to my breakfast in size. My mom looks worried until I chip off a bit of my arm equal to about half a piece of bacon, which quickly heals. I eat the bacon only to cough up a piece of emerald, about half a piece of bacon. That is very new. I'm guessing that I can only eat so much as backup matter before I don't need to eat anymore. So as long as I am not hurt, I can't eat, nor do I need to. Well, at least our jeweler can use the results of my Midas touch. We laugh at my joke as I kissed my mom on the cheek and left for school. On the way there, I gave some kid money for a quick breakfast at a local fast food place. He was just short of it, but I paid and gave him extra. Once I got to school, I got into my seat and messed with a small chunk of jade as I got lost in thought. I couldn't eat lunch without coughing up emeralds or maybe some jade, but I didn't want to offend Lunch Rush, our food-based hero that runs the cafeteria. I was distracted until Momo tapped me on the shoulder. "Oh, sorry, I was lost in thought. Did you say something?" I rubbed the back of my head, embarrassed. Momo giggled. "It's fine, but you were muttering out loud and scaring everyone. What's this about offending Lunch Rush?" I sigh. A new aspect of my quirk showed up. I apparently don't need to eat, but if I get hurt, it helps to eat to replace future damage. I coughed up my breakfast until I damaged my arm a tiny bit. If I eat, I cough up emeralds, upsetting everyone's stomach, or I don't eat and offend Lunch Rush. Momo's eyes went wide for a minute before chuckling. Maybe make the food into emeralds and give it to him as a trophy. We all sat down and waited for our teacher for this morning to show up. That's when the door opened and I heard All Might's voice. "I'm here," entering like a normal person. The class was happy and I grew jade spikes and turned my nails into daggers as I growled. Needless to say, everyone was stunned and All Might fell backwards back out into the hallway. I couldn't help but fall onto my own rear laughing. The entire class was confused until I walked over to Kakin and boosted him, retracted my nails and spikes, and helped All Might up. That was for ditching me. Be glad I am easy to forgive and forget, but next time it won't be as easy. Same goes for you, Kakin. I will deboost your quirk. I go back to my seat and smile. All Might coughed. "I'm glad you've forgiven me, Mr. Midoriya. Now everyone, today you're all doing battle training at Site Gamma. This will be random teams, one acting as heroes and the other as villains. The heroes will be trying to catch the villains or the weapons, as the villains have to stop the heroes for 15 minutes or catch the heroes. Now heroes need costumes." He pressed a button on something and a bunch of cases with desk numbers show up. We all grab our cases and go change. I didn't have a case since I never submitted a costume design. Instead, I broke my porcelain skin and became an emerald-based X-ray man. I made sure to hide my junk just in case my gym outfit get ripped. We all meet in front of All Might where he announces the teams. I ended up with Momo and we're against Bakugo and Ada. You can already guess what team I'm on. I put the weapon in the middle of the building and encase it with emeralds. I then looked at Momo. "I have a plan, but it'll be a bit risky. You set up tripwire and such on the floor below and the floor above, with them getting much more common in different corners. I will taunt the living bomb." She nodded and got to work as Ida and Kakin argued about a plan. I could hear them thanks to a quirk Dad stole then gave to me. I set up some gemians on the top and bottom floor before I walk onto the roof and yell down, "Be glad I boosted you. Now you might be at least an entertaining opponent. Actually, Ida, how about you meet me up here? Your boosted engines can easily get you up here." I laughed maniacally, and thanks to some villain movies I watched, it scared everyone. "Actually, just give up, you two. Neither of you will ever beat me." I quickly ran down and gave Momo some useful quirks. The simple list is speed, strength, erasure, and a cloning quirk. We split up as I heard explosions heading up to the roof. "Have fun, Momo. Also, if you want to keep them, tell me." Once I got to the roof, I'm immediately laughing my ass off. Bakugo was busy removing his ruined boots as they were melted, exploded, and on fire from the boost I gave him. The boost just added his explosive sweat to his feet, but the results were funny. Of course, this made Kakin mad, so he launched himself at me. "Wrong move, Kakin, wrong move." I roll out of the way and two gemians grab Kakin before fusing together, becoming a case around him from the neck down. "Don't try exploding it. You might kill yourself because even All Might can't break my emeralds. Have a good time waiting, you nuclear Pomeranian." I rushed downstairs to where the weapon was, only to just catch the tail end of the fight. What I saw was Ada suddenly being lifted to the ceiling in a net and held up by 4 Momos. We got called the winners, and I undo my gemians and take the quirks from Momo since she didn't want them. I then turned around only for Bakugo to pull the pin on both of his gauntlets. Ada sped Momo out of the way as they basically see my body completely destroyed in front of them. All Might came running and watches as one of my shards, which I quickly tossed to the side out of instinct, form into my body with a green, gold, and jade version of a gym outfit forming over my body before my more private bit form. "Damn, Kakin, I may be immortal, but that hurt like hell. I was taunting you to make you lose your common sense and attack blindly. I pop my shoulders and move to the door shakily. I must thank you though, Lunch Rush may get mad. You damaged me so much I'm starving. All Might excused Momo, Ada, and I to lunch early with a note to give to Lunch Rush. Momo, Ada. And even Lunch Rush was surprised with how much I was eating, even though it was basically just after breakfast. I was still eating when lunchtime started. When everyone got to our table, Kakin sat next to me. That blast was for calling me a Pomeranian. You know I hate dogs. I shrugged and kept eating until I burped up a chunk of emerald. I sighed and relaxed, finally full. Guys, he has been eating non-stop for hours. Even Lunch Rush was worried and was cooking triple time to make sure there was enough for everyone. Everyone looked at Ada confused, then at me as I handed Lunch Rush the emerald. After I apologized to Lunch Rush for my eating frenzy, I returned to my table. We all chatted and joked as Kakin and I caught up some. We even got on the phone with my mom, who was with Auntie Mitsuki. Everything was now back to how it was, but everyone knew not to make me a villain. It's been roughly a week since I was nearly killed by Kakin. Since that day I was more cautious when outside, not wanting to find out my limits of immortality. This morning was one I never thought I would see. Outside my home was a group of people calling me a villain as they held up anti-villain signs with my face. All for one, my mom's, and other known villains' faces. I had barely stuck my foot out the door before tomatoes, rocks, an eggplant, and lots of eggs. Normally I would just close the door, but I wanted to mess with them. I moved quickly, eating each item thrown at me. The crowd stopped chucking stuff after they noticed I wasn't running. I let out a small burp, closed the door, and started to walk to the mall. After I get to the corner, I turn around and look at them. Thanks for breakfast, but I'm not a villain and neither is my mom. Have a good day. I continued on my way, not caring if they follow me or not. Of course they followed, calling me many names. Most I heard before, with Quirk, whore, and heartless bastard being the only new ones. I remembered an old video on an ancient website called YouTube. With a smirk I turned around and looked at them in fake pain. Ouch, oh, such an insult. How about you come back at me with some original ones, you poorly packaged sacks of horse shit. Tell your significant others I said hi, Snookums. I blew a kiss and kept walking. Some old men on a nearby park bench started laughing. I see you like the older videos. You'll find better insults if you dig enough. One yelled as he nearly hit the ground laughing. I waved and kept walking as I entered the mall to get what was needed and extra. There was a store that sold stuff from TV like nonstick pans, some odd light-up slippers, wall-riding RC cars, and super sharp knives. I entered it, and before I could even look around I got hit by Endeavor's fire. Yo, hothead, you need to stop attacking me when I am simply shopping. You know I am not a villain. He just threw another fireball, which I ate as if it was a spicy meatball. He kept it up as I had Gemians get people away as I slowly lead him out into the street where he will do less damage to property. After some time of eating his stupid fireballs and forming jade chainmail armor to prevent nudity, the police arrived and pointed their guns at me. Here we go again. I sigh as I recall my Gemians and lay on the ground with my hands behind my back. Hothead used this as an opportunity to try to melt me into a puddle, only to find me unharmed and covered in more jade armor. Will you stop that? That is the second outfit you ruined of mine. I yelled at him while cops handcuffed me and put me in the back of their car. I chuckled as Endeavor was also arrested and put into a fireproof car. Both of us were taken to the jail, where after a few questions showed that Endeavor just wanted to get me expelled since he believed that I wasn't worthy of UA and that villain spawn should be locked up before they can cause trouble. I went back to the mall, where the owner himself gave me a bunch of stuff for free as thanks for saving his business from the fiery wrecking ball. Once I was done and had thanked him, I headed home. As I entered the door, the news made a major announcement which made me and my mom laugh. Number 2 hero Endeavor is under investigation for multiple reasons. He has been caught twice attacking Izuku Midoriya, son of All for One, for no reason, with the second time having just happened today at the mall. Instead of fighting back, Izuku protected the businesses and civilians from getting hurt as Endeavor shot fireball after fireball. In the end, Izuku laid down in the middle of the road, only for the number 2 hero to try to melt him. Police are now investigating every single one of his arrests, complaints placed against him, and making him pay Izuku and any others he has tormented for psychological torment he has caused. His license is officially suspended for the next 2 years, and it is highly likely that it'll be revoked. My phone then began to ring off the hook. The first few were the usual insults, which I now had recorded with their phone numbers. There was jump off the roof, demon spawn, quit lying about Endeavor, and some death threats. Then a new call came through which I didn't expect. It was an anonymous caller giving me thanks that Endeavor's horrible parenting will finally be revealed and ended. I couldn't get his name before he hung up, but I still sent all the calls and the data collected from them to the cops. The next day I went to school and apologized to Shoto Todoroki about having his dad arrested. What surprised me is that he actually smiled. I hope that horrible father loses his license and is imprisoned so I no longer have to deal with him. He drove my mom crazy, treated me and my siblings like trash, and got away with it. I nodded and gave him a bit jade. How about you keep this as a reminder of his but going to jail? Shoto nodded and thanked me as I walked back to my seat before our hero name selection class started. I was asked last and I chose the perfect one, Spite the Green Mineral Hero. Everyone loved it and I got another date invite from Midnight in my pocket. Looks like I will eventually have to accept it or she will never give up. Due to Endeavor being imprisoned, a lot more heroes are being reevaluated, causing school to be cancelled a couple of days and for me to be stuck at home thanks to everyone hating me more. After they all calmed down, I walked to school with Ida and Uraraka, and since we left early to avoid the mob's daily arrival, we stopped at the park for a little bit. When we arrived, I saw a homeless man on a bench and I instantly felt bad for him. After gently waking him up, I gave him a lot of money and told him to get cleaned up and rent an apartment. When he realized what I did, he asked what I wanted, thinking I was a crook. I told him nothing and he smiled. Finally, an honest person. May I shake your hand? I let him and felt his quirk force itself into me. Take my quirk as thanks, young man. I can't use it anymore and I know what you learn with it will make you a better man than I was. With that, he left whistling a happy tune. Ada, a bit irritated. Please tell me you didn't take his quirk. I didn't have a choice. He gave it to me like how my dad did before he died. I felt it force its way into my gem body. Uraraka smiled. I know you'll live up to his expectations. What kind of quirk is it? I looked at its genetic data only to find out its name was Slider. I tilted my head. That's odd, there is no data on the quirk in its DNA. Maybe I have to use it first. When the two looked at me confused, I explained that as I gain quirks I instantly know how to use them and their name. Once they understood that, I told them its name. Uraraka jumped off the bench they sat as I explained it. Maybe you have to go down a slide to activate it? There's a slide right there, so let's see if that'll do it. Ada started to say that was a childish idea. But before he could finish, I was going down the slide as a portal appeared taking me elsewhere. 1 second I was going down a slide and the next second I was kissing Momo, except she had fangs. I quickly backed away and apologized as I learned about my new quirk. Sliders. This quirk lets you travel between realities, with the first time swapping you and your double of the reality you transfer to. You will be swapped back randomly after at least 24 hours. This quirk will also save your dimension and any future ones you visit in your DNA, so when you pass it on to someone else they must start from scratch even if they perfectly copy it. Momo quickly shushed me. Izuku, I asked for the kiss, don't be sorry, plus I love the idea of me being your vampire girlfriend. I backed away instantly. I'm sorry, but I may be Izuku, I am not your Izuku. When I bumped into a plant pot and rang, she instantly checked where I hit it. My porcelain skin was already repairing itself, but it still stunned her. Before you scream or freak out, do you know if my family of this reality is still alive? She grabbed her phone and called someone. Hisashi, it's me, Momo. I think something is wrong with Izuku. His skin is now porcelain and instead of flesh he is made of emeralds. That's when a portal appeared under me and I ended up on a couch in the living room of a smallish apartment. Momo was standing next to me, and Mom was on the love seat next to some guy with white hair and freckles like mine. Izuku, are you okay, son? Did one of your creations backfire? I sat up. Wait, son. Dad, is that you? Wait, that must mean either he left and came back or he never left. Either that or Mom remarried in this reality. This reality's version of my mom walked over and looked at my eyes. She hugged me and calmed me down. I know you're not my son, but you're still an Izuku. Where is my son? Were you in a safe zone when you switched? I nodded. I was with Ida and Uraraka. They are my classmates at UA. As long as he doesn't attack them, he will be fine, except maybe a sore rear. I was going down a slide after I gained a quirk called Sliders. Oh crud, I knew that sounded familiar. It's like the old TV series. Oh no, we might be swapped anywhere from a day to a couple of weeks. Hisashi began to sigh. Great, and we had plans for today too. Quick question, who is your father in your world? I told them and he chuckled softly as he said, at least that, you nothing going to UA and having quirks match up. So am I a villain in this reality? If so, I swear I won't tell anyone, but I won't break the law. They all nodded. Yep, and I joined you last night. Yesterday, our Izuku led an attack on the USJ, which is a training place for heroes, and hurt All Might for being a major hypocrite. We also started dating, and he was going to claim the reason I have fangs and need blood is because of his ultimate vampire quirk, and that since we are dating it triggered something. I blushed. I'm glad this reality's me has more confidence. I'm still single, though Midnight wants to change that. They laughed and I spent family time with them. When Dad and I went outside to play catch, he became a white-haired clone of me and explained why. When class started up on the following Monday, I went straight to Nezu. Principal Nezu, may I talk with you? When I saw it was an animal thing like mine, I relaxed some. I told him that I used a quirk that swapped me and their Izuku, and he believed me. After I told him of my world, he told me a bit about his, then sent me down to class with a note for Aizawa. When he read the note, he shook his head. Izuku, please tell me this is a forged note. I shook my head. It's not. Nezu just gave it to me. I didn't read it like he asked me to. Aizawa then called this world's Kakin over and showed him the note. While they both read it, I looked around the room only for a blast to knock my head off. Damn it, Kakin. Do you hate this reality's me or something? I formed my body as I usually do, skeleton first and with a jade covering of personal areas before I reach into my bag for some backup clothes. So Momo wasn't lying when she said Izuku was going to surprise us. I look at Mineta, who looks a lot bigger and more normal sized compared to my world's. Mineta, is that you? You're definitely different from the one in my world. Did he start school that way or was he a grape-headed midget? This made everyone laugh, thinking I was joking, until Aizawa shut them up. Class, according to what we just saw, and Nezus, note this is not our Izuku but one from another reality. Answer his questions and don't bully him. Also, sorry about your head. It was an order from Nezu. It's okay. I don't know how long I'll be here, but just in case. I broke my old body into shards, showing off my bones and veins in the emerald flesh. I then made everyone necklaces, earrings, or rings to remember me by. There now none of you can forget meeting me. I'm Izuku Midoriya, hero in training known as Spite the Green Mineral Hero. That's when the questions started up. My quirk lets me undo an item's gravity. Is it same for the me in your reality? Actually, Uraraka, I boosted your quirk in my reality, removing your drawback and making you able to increase it. Now, since I don't know if you guys would be able to handle it here, I won't boost you. Now please answer my question about Mineta. Mineta laughed. I was a grape-headed midget, as you put it, and a major pervert until our Izuku taught me being a pervert is not a good thing. I got a girlfriend, and Vamp Izuku helped my body mature like it was supposed to. Everyone instantly agreed I'd be Gem Izuku and their Izuku would be Vamp Izuku. Is there a big villain killing heroes in your world other than Stain? I instantly shook my head. Nope, just him last I checked. I've been here since Thursday and I hope your guys all might will be okay. Momo told me about Wednesday. Also, Shoto, I am sorry about your dad. She should have went to jail like my worlds instead of dying like he did. I heard about how he treated your family from Vamp Me's mom. Shoto sat up so quick I thought he would break his neck. My dad is in jail in your reality. I nodded. He attacked me for no reason to try to arrest me and give me a record so I couldn't be in UA. Then he tried to kill me as I protected people in the mall from his flames. Both times he obviously failed and lost his hero's license. Shoto smiled. At least I know karma got him in your world. After a bit of talking, we went to lunch where I suddenly got sucked into a void world with Vamp Me. I know what you are, Fire Opal. Don't worry, I didn't turn you in. I was just happy to have Dad in my life for a while, even though I had to pretend he was my brother. Also, good luck with Momo, and sorry but I kinda kissed her. He just laughed. It's okay, Spite. I like that hero name. I will use it in my world too if that's okay. I nodded and handed him the notes I made for his class, and he did the same for me. May I have copies of what quirks you have? I am curious what it is like to have a vampiric quirk. I ask as I think about the pranks I could pull. Let's both copy quirks, but I don't know if I can bite you. I put my arm out for him to try. I was shocked that he could bite me, but as he copied my quirks, I copied his through his teeth. After he stopped biting me, I was dumped into my world's lunchroom. I slowly stood up and popped my back. Uraraka, next time I get a Daedalus quirk, make sure I look up its name first. With that, she hugged me and everyone welcomed me back. We caught up on what I missed and checked the notes Vamp Me wrote. I blushed at the last page. It was taped with notes from people asking me for a date. Looks like I have a lot of girls and a couple of guys interested in me. Now to find out if it's my looks, character, or my worth. This will be a while. I stretched as I finished making myself some items from the notebook Cyber Izuku gave me yesterday. I hold up what looks like a simple bracelet and put it on. Once it's on, I make a fist and move a certain way, causing my arm to ring. The ringing nose activated the bracelet, which created a big energy shield. I smiled and manually compressed the shield. That's when I got a text from May. She's a bit crazy, but she is a brilliant inventor. May, I made his solar surfer. It works awesomely. The solar panels turn 1 second of pure sunlight into hours of power. Me, please tell me you didn't overcharge or damage the solar surfer batteries used to store the energy. May, does it result in an explosion? If so, not yet. Me, don't do it. Howard Loader is mad enough at you. If you want to test it, ask to do it in a fake city. May, good idea. Did you finish the watch thingy? Me, I built the shield, but I've not tested its durability. I used Plan C so I can use my arm ringing to activate it. Howard Loader joined chat. PL, please tell me neither of you built the armor necklace. May and me, nope, just build us a version of it, okay. May, he's already at it. Should we leave the bow to him as well? PL, there's a bow. May, go photocopy the rest of that book. Me, Power Loader, calm down. I will give you a copy when I get there. I will put a green star next to the ones I'm building. May, add some symbol for the ones you claimed, okay. May, just do a pink star on page 1, 4, 6, 9, 22, 30, 32, 40, 44, and 420. Me and PL, May, no. May, yes. May left the chat. PL, I will stop her. There's no way she's making instant high gas. She will kill us all. Howard Loader left the chat. I sighed and put a note on my door explaining to my mom that May went rogue again. Once I was done, I teleported to the school where I saw Power Loader and May fighting over the notebook. Using a fire quirk, I incinerated it without hurting them. Both were mad until they saw me holding a ball of fire. May apologized. Sorry about making you come in early, Izuku. Please don't destroy me. I used the code to duplicate the notebook, with one being pink and the other a nice yellow. Yellow book is Power Loader's and has the drug-based creations in it with his stuff on yellow pages. Pink is yours, May. Your stuff is on pink pages and devoid of drug items. Do not steal Power Loader's or my book, or I will destroy all of your babies, I said as I tossed them their books. By babies I meant May's creations. She nodded, knowing I would do it. With a smile I showed the shield. It looks awesome. Wanna test it in the explosive power of a SSB? May basically screamed yes, grabbing rocket-powered weapons in one SSB. Power Loader sighed. Go to side X, it's the only one that repairs itself. After warping the three of us there, we placed the SSB in the exact center of the mile-wide site. The Solar Surfer battery looked like a watch battery with spikes along the thin, curved sides. I ran back to nearly the edge of the site before having a very sharp emerald shard impale it. The explosion was almost instant. I barely had enough time to activate my shield and form an emerald wall behind it. The side was ruined all the way to the walls, which lost a few inches worth of its insides. Luckily, the shield was the size of a crouching Power Loader, or we all would have been killed. It even destroyed parts of my emerald wall that wasn't protected by the shield. May, how charged was that battery? I swear if that was a fully charged one I will destroy a baby, I asked as I glared at her. May was shaken and all I could get was the word 10. After a couple of minutes I understood. Power Loader put that book in a safe when not in use. Same for you, May. If that truly was just a 10% charge, a full charge could be a lot worse. May grabbed my arm. Please tell me you know where to get something called Vibranium Tritanium Naquata alloy. I just used obsidian and it's just weaker than your emeralds. Power Loader freaked out as he finally processed what happened. Such alloy doesn't exist. It's from comic books and TV shows. I sighed and popped my back. You could have asked me to form some of it. The alloy actually exists in Cyberme's reality. Stay still, please. Without much hesitation, I undid all of the damage and caused the battery to reform where we left it. Once it was all done, I formed a box around the battery. Brace yourselves. Round 2 and May are the batteries you made exactly to the design. She nodded as she hid behind me and the shield, with Power Loader running to the observation room. Once he was above us and secured, I detonated the battery the same way. This time all that happened was the box shaking violently for roughly 6 seconds, with a pillar of fire shooting out of the hole the emerald came through. I relaxed and retracted my shield as I warped the three of us back to the classroom. Next time you two need interdimensional materials, just ask me. I don't care when, since I don't sleep, but I will get you what's needed ASAP. Definitely glad I had the material around my shield's battery, or we would have definitely been dead. After I created personal storage dimensions linked to them and special watches, we all talked about our next projects. I of course fixed May's surfer so she wouldn't be a flying nuke. Power Loader got busy on his necklace as May began to work on a hologram projector. I told them both bye as I headed upstairs to my classroom, forgetting that part of my uniform was charred. Ada and Uraraka were the first two into the classroom and they both freaked out. They asked if I was attacked or if Bakugo was still mad about me beating him in battle training. Guys, calm down. I was helping May with something and it blew up. Don't worry about it. I am fine. They didn't believe me until I showed them the blast from something. I of course blurred it so they would never know a battery was a mini nuke. When Kaken and his squad arrived, he was pissed when he saw my uniform. Very similar rant to Uraraka and Ida till the three of us told him it was my mishap. Izuku, that beach is going to end up killing you. I sighed and nodded as I motioned them to their seats while Aizawa walked in. He seemed happy as hell in his new sleeping bag I had May create for him. It was basically a padded onesie with heating and cooling system, pockets for items, and it's bulletproof. Everyone looked at me as he walked in. What, you all saw him moonwalk in the one with just legs? Why not create the ultimate portable bed for him? Plus, he's not irritated by dry eye, so he might be getting better sleep. Denki leaned over and whispered, "Can you get us all one of those? Imagine us all wearing those at a sleepover." Bakugo heard and smirked. "If you can mine better, have explosions and skulls on it. Also make it battle usable if possible, so every year we can fight crime in them on National Pajama Day." Everyone loved that idea and I had to laugh. Asked May, Aizawa, what's the power source on it? He shrugged as he muttered something about a SSB. When those letters out, I tackled him and removed the power source from it. Sorry, Aizawa. May put something unstable in it. I will fix it and reinstall it in a few seconds. Everyone was tense as I slowly moved the box holding the battery to my desk. Uraraka asked, "Is that what singed your outfit?" I only nodded as I began to fix it as carefully and silently as possible. Aizawa was stunned but collected himself. Anyways, today for hero training after lunch we will be going to the Unseen Simulation Joint. There we will train for rescue during natural disasters and different environments. Izuku, if you can hurry up please. This thing is getting really hot. I finished and reinstalled it. There we go, fixed. If it violently shakes, tell me and I will replace the battery. That's just how it says the battery won't work anymore. He nodded and sighed. As long as it doesn't happen often, I will be happy. It has been a very long month since I stopped the League of Villains. Mom, the Namu, Gigantomachia, Kirigiri, and I have moved into a giant mansion, and we had multiple houses built for Namu overflow and a special play area for the Namu that can rebuild itself. There were a lot more Namu than Kirigiri knew of, and there were 10 others sentient like him. They help keep the normal Namu in line, and we all talk. They all enjoy being Namu, but they dislike the hate aimed at them because of their appearance. After a few days of talking, I decided to make Quirk holding crystals out of boredom. Each crystal holds a different quirk, and if someone has their skin touch the crystal, they can use the quirks in it. That's when I came up with an idea. I rushed over to a Namu called Hood. He is an expert fighter, and I have trained with him some, which will hopefully me win the sports festival in a week. Hood, I have an idea, but I want your permission first. Hood looked down at me from the tree he usually is in. Izuku, tell me your idea first. I will decide afterwards. I nodded. I think I figured out how to make your Namu form into a quirk and give you a human form so you can blend into society. I can create crystals that store quirks, and since I can edit quirks. Hood jumped down and knelt down so we were same eye height. You can make the quirks that ruin body into a new one, which you can store in crystal that I can use when needed. Kinda, I want to test it on a normal Namu first. Might be able to make them sentient again. Do you know of any close to expiration due to quirk imbalance? Hood grabbed a flying Namu and brought him to me. I tried it on the chosen one and averted my eyes once it was done. I quickly covered the now female human in a blanket and waited for her to wake up as I tinker with the quirks I crystallize. She soon woke up and looked around confused. Where am I? Who are you two and what happened to the tests? Hood, get Kuro. Tell him female de Namu. I am Izuku Midoriya, and I just undid what a scientist did to you. You were made into a creature called a Namu. A brainless creature that obeyed orders and fought heroes. She cried when I finished that explanation. I gently hugged her and told her it's okay and that she is safe. I hope that was a nightmare. I'm sorry that I fell for his trick. I just wanted a quirk. I smiled as Kirigiri walked over. It's okay, ma'am. Look, I can give you a quirk or you can use what you were to make amends. This crystal holds what I call Namu form. It is what you used to be. I have changed it to let you keep your mind and stay in control. You just have to wear this crystal to use it. She looked at me in shock and then blushed as she lead away covered by the blanket. If possible, I would like both options, one for everyday use and the other to hopefully be a hero. I smiled and called Nezu, happy for what I had done. Principal Nezu, I undid one Namu. The female remembers all she did as a Namu and wants to be a hero to atone for what she did. Nezu laughed. That is good to hear. Do you want her in a one? I sighed. Unfortunately, no. Mineta would try to seduce her since she looks about 20 and is attractive. If the other Namu act the same way after I undo it all, can you make a new class called Class N1 for them? I tried not to laugh as I hear him start yelling for Cementos to call in a meeting. I will see if it can be done. How many Namu are there? I sighed. 60, not including Kirigiri. He wants to be my friend and butler, not a hero, I've asked. He laughed and said bye, hanging up to do the meeting. Once I was done with the call, I began to undo the notification on the normal Namu. It was a mix of men, women, and a lot of kids. Most were quirkless except a few who had weak quirks. All of them, especially the kids, wanted to be heroes to make up for all they were ordered to do. Very few wanted to keep their Namu form, but I did give people quirks they wanted. Some got 2, not including NF, as they wanted their parents' quirks or a better fusion. I got them all enrolled and reunited with family if they had any. Unfortunately, most were kicked out of their family because of their quirkless nature. I let those without family stay with us as guests in the house, though they may have to help out some in exchange. Everyone agreed, and soon we had a big party with my class invited to meet everyone I healed. After a long night of everyone having fun, I cleaned up the mess. I was happy to have helped so many already. After a week, everyone went to class to become heroes, even the kids, since it's late in the school year. They were getting more education-based than hero-based training, but hopefully when they come of age they will really be good with their quirks. Back in class, I looked out the window and at the kids playing and using their quirks. I smiled and did my schoolwork until I saw one kid begin to bully another kid. That for some reason made me mad. I quickly warped down to them, scaring them and my classmates. Don't pick on anyone. I've not given you a quirk so you can be a bully. You want to be in prison like Endeavor. The kid, who has a fire quirk, looked up at me surprised. Why is Endeavor in prison? He is an awesome hero. I sighed and motioned all the kids over. You all should know not all heroes are true heroes. Some are in it just for fame and money. Endeavor was one of those. He arranged a quirk marriage to create Shoto Todoroki, someone with ice and fire. Yes, Penny, I'm talking about the walking candy cane in my class. That joke made everyone laugh. Now Endeavor abused and beat all his kids and his wife, putting her in a mental hospital when she finally snapped. All his abuse was swept under a rug because of his status. Then the world and I learned my father was the biggest villain in the world. That's when Hothead decided to become more popular. I sighed and leaned against a nearby tree. What he did was try to kill me just because I was trying to enter UA and my father was all for one. He got me put in jail for 3 days because he wanted me to miss the entrance exam, and then he tried to melt me after I got in. That's when people realized his true colors and how a few others acted just like him. All of them are in jail or doing lots of community service. Now no bullying or I will remove the quirks I gave you. Then you'll have to earn them back. Understood? They all nodded and the bully apologized, saying he just didn't get why the kid chose win. I chuckled as I pulled the two over. Okay, now this will be fun to do. Now Ong, use your wind to make a small tornado on the cement there. Now once it's formed, Zuko, add some fire to it. They did it and caused a very hot fire tornado. I destroyed it after a bit and smiled. Just because you don't know its uses means a quirk is weak or useless. Sometimes they need another quirk to bring its full potential. Now be good, I'll see you all after class. They all said bye as I warped back into the classroom. Sorry, Present Mike. I was just teaching Class M not to bully. He nodded and resumed his lesson. When we went to lunch, Kakin pulled me aside. Do you think that those extras from middle school will forgive me for being so mean? I laughed. Maybe if you stop calling them all extras. He nodded and we went on to lunch. As we ate, we all claimed we all were training for the sports festival. I called Hood and he said he would train anyone I deemed worthy of it. I smiled. Thanks, Hood, but be aware one is a pervert and will try to grope the girls. He nodded and ended the call to make an arena in the self-repairing building. Mineta walked over. Izuku, can you introduce me to Mocha of N1? I would like to date her. I instantly picked him up and tossed him at her. She saw and smirked as she kicked him through an open window and into the school's pool. Thank you, Midoriya. I was sick of him staring at me. I just waved and sighed as I ate some katsudon. I swear that pervert is going to get himself killed. We definitely need to break that out of him and Denki. Everyone gave the living battery a glare as they all made noises of them agreeing. After school, we all went home and trained with Hood and a few Namu who kept their NFs. We all had fun and I decided to make it into a sleepover since it was a Friday and I had plenty of rooms. Of course, I caught Mineta trying to sneak into the giant bedroom the girls were in. I smirked evilly as I knocked on the door. Girls, I caught Mineta. Want to use him as a living Barbie? As the girls discussed what they should answer while the grape-headed moron begged for forgiveness, Momo opened the door. We will punish him tomorrow morning after breakfast. We will spend some of tonight planning outfits. Can you make him into a girl though? We will need measurements. The aura of malice was so thick from those girls I instantly regretted this idea. I made him into a female for a bit, then quickly undid it once they were done. Mineta, if you try again I will make you into a slug. Now back to the room you and Denki are sharing. I then saw Denki trying to sneak to the girls' room, stopping the second he saw me and Mineta. Girls, Denki just volunteered to join Mineta. I grabbed and changed him for the girls to measure. Once they were done, I dragged them both down the hall and into their room. After changing Denki back, I coated the room in emeralds, sealed the windows, and formed bars in the doorway. Now stay. If either of you somehow get out, I will have call midnight. You know how she loves perverts, I said, my voice full of venom. Shoto looked out of the room he chose. Izuku, why are you so mad? That tone in your voice even scared me. My tone changed to my normal happy self. Sorry, Shoto. These two tried to see the girls nude again. They will be punished by the girls tomorrow, and if they are smart they will stay in their room till breakfast or the morning gaming tournament. Shoto sighed. Want me to watch them? I shook my head and put a camera on the wall. I have it covered. Sleep well, Shoto. I walked to my room a few doors down and sat on my bed. I wanted everything back to normal, but was it always this crazy? Oh well, tomorrow should be a fun fashion show with the perverts getting embarrassed. I think I will call Midnight and have her help the girls. I sent her a text and suddenly almost 5 minutes later there was knocking on the front door. With a quick warp down there I let Midnight in. You sent me a text, is everything okay? I laughed. Mostly. Can you help the girls punish the class perverts? I caught them trying to prep at the girls. Midnight smirked and pushed me against the wall. Will I finally get a date with you? I sighed. Sure, next week on Wednesday around 6 sound good. She kissed me on the cheek, making sure to press against me. That'll do, Izuku dear. What room are the perverts in? Punishment is tomorrow after breakfast. I'll lead you to the girls and give you a room. I lead her to the girls and point to the room next to it. You can sleep there once you finish planning. She enters the girls' room as I set up her bedroom. Once I'm done I hear a girl scream, so I knock on the door. Are you all okay in there? I heard a scream. I hear the girls cussing about me not falling for it and I sigh. I was raised properly and I want to sleep tonight. Good night, ladies. See you in the morning. I headed off to bed chuckling. Maybe normal is overrated. I walk over to the pervert's cell in the middle of the night. They thought they'd be smart by covering the gem bars with Mineta's stupid pop-off balls. With a smirk I turn the pop-off into emeralds which get absorbed into the bars. What I see is Mineta on Denki's shoulders with pop-off holding onto him to lift him up towards the air vents. Seriously, you two. Get down now or I will have Midnight come. 5.4.3 Point 2. Fine, I'm calling midnight. As I counted, the two fools just froze as if I wouldn't be able to see them. The second I said I was calling her, Mineta jumped off the wall, hurting him and Denki. Izuku, please don't call midnight. I won't try again, I promise, Mineta begged as I pulled out my phone and texted midnight to run down the hall. Denki crawled over to the door. Please, Izuku, have mercy. Don't summon that crazy woman. That's when she suddenly appears next to me. I'm crazy? Who's the bloody perverts that tried to grope every girl in the school? I looked at her stunned. Oh my, I didn't even hear you come down the hall. Nice job on stealth. She smirked as Mineta and Denki backed away from the emerald bars. I sigh. Please knock the two out for the next 7 hours. I am already tired of them. She does, and once they are out, she kissed my cheek. You now owe me 2 dates. You are not the only person after me. Trust me when I say all I can do is 1 date currently. She scoffed. Who can compare to me? I just sighed annoyed. Mount Lady, Mariko, N1 and M1 has a lot of girls into me. Main one though is Mocha. Her vampire quirk is very interesting. With that said, I went back to room and closed my door. It took about 3 minutes for midnight to knock on my door. Midnight, it's literally midnight and I would like to sleep. I've not slept in over a month and I don't want to get cranky. She tried to kiss me but I formed a wall of emerald. Simon Izuku, I will let you test quirks on me and everything. Just become my boyfriend. Can we talk about this later? If not, tomorrow will be hell for you as well as the perverts. I simply stated, my voice vibrating some low notes to make my voice sound demonic. With that, she left me alone to sleep. Honestly, I don't need to sleep, but it helps with my sanity. When morning came, I headed downstairs to make breakfast with kurogiri and some Namu to feed everyone. Once it was all made, I smirked. Hey Stan, how about you wake up the guests? Nothing ear-shattering, just jarring. Except for the perverts in the emerald barred room. Take Murray with you to eat the bars enough for them to get out. The duo leave and a bit later I hear Stan yell, "Good morning, A1 and midnight." There was then silence for a bit before a much louder, "Wake up, perverts." I quickly used a time quirk to fix any damage from his yelling. After a bit, everyone came down and sat at the giant table. I did divert the two troublemakers to a small table by themselves behind a group of strong men, including Hood in his human body. Everyone at the big table got along and made jokes as we all enjoyed breakfast. Once we were done eating, the girls smirked. "Izuku, can we start the punishment? Also, they'll do the dishes, so don't worry." I sighed and switched Denki and Mineta into females before the duo were dragged away. I am already regretting this. Once the duo were dragged away, the rest of us did a fighting game tournament with multiple game systems to make it all faster. After about half an hour, I turned and saw the duo's outfits. I busted up laughing mid-round, which made me lose, but worth it. The pair were in hot pink maid outfits with the word pervert on different sections of the outfits. Once the dishes were done, they were both dragged away again by midnight saying, "Outfit change time, perverts." It wasn't much longer till we saw the next outfits. We were done with the tournament as the perverts walked out. Denki was in a yellow corset, short skirt, Pikachu ears and tail, and high heels. Mineta was in a purple version of the same outfit. "Please stop them. We won't try to peep or grope them again." Everyone was laughing at them, with some guys wolf whistling and cat calling. I walked over to the girls in charge of the punishment. 2 more outfits and they are done. Okay. I think they get the point. The girls all glared at me, making me back up a bit in shock. Momo stated, 3 outfits per pervert and no less. 2 each and that should be enough. I don't want them traumatized into being gay perverts, put a fear of women. The girls talked with midnight smirking. I didn't know what was said, but I instantly knew it was bad. Uraraka blushed. 2 outfits, but you must date all of us as a girl or no deal. I gave midnight a death glare. I know that is your doing and not happening. I am not the ones being punished. Now only do 2 or all of you will be in the Pikachu outfit until you leave. To add to my bluff, I made thread appear in my hands. The girls quickly agreed, but midnight walked over. "If you can do latex, it'll be useful on our day. Anyways, I have to go on patrol. See you in class." She kissed my cheek, then left. I glared at the perverts. "It's your fault I have a date with her. Stuff I have to do to straighten you out." With that said, I headed into the game room to do another tournament with racing games. The perverts were busy on drink duty, with some guys slapping their tears. When I reminded them that they were underaged and once boys and explained the punishment, they understood and lessened the groping. Needless to say, the duo were ashamed. Once that tournament was over, we headed to the arena to train. This time the duo were in skin-tight latex outfits similar to Midnight's hero costume. By the time lunch arrived, both were exhausted. Everyone took showers except I temporarily made them male for theirs before their final outfit. As we ate lunch, they came out in a perverted version of our school uniform. Katsuki smirked. "Too bad that isn't the girl's uniform. It's kinda nice." That's when he knew he effed up. The girls all hit him and Uraraka made him float until he apologized. They set him down and I cleaned the dishes as the girls tormented the duo for a couple of hours. Eventually, I was able to change the 2 back where they apologized profusely to the girls. The rest of the weekend went by smoothly, with the training got rougher on everyone. By the time the sports festivals came on Tuesday, everyone was ready. I yawned and slowly walked to school. Today is the sports festival and I have a date with Midnight after it. The festival isn't what's bugging me. It's the fact that Midnight has a date with me later and she has already planned it all. Is it too much to ask for a villain attack? Honestly, I shouldn't want that to happen, but I want to avoid that date. I talk with my classmates before we all head to the center of the arena. I was brought in front of the entire audience with a good amount booing me and the usual begone villain spawn. Everyone please be quiet, Midnight said as it began to get worse. I motioned that it's okay, then became a giant emerald monster and bellowed. You are all being very disrespectful. Be quiet so we can get to the games and battles you are all here for. Much better, and before I hear anyone else call me a villain, let me ask you something. Would you like to be called something you're not because your father was one? With the audience now quiet, I returned to my normal form and quickly reformed my porcelain skin. Now all classes from N to A. You all are here to prove you are all able to become heroes or support item makers in a few cases. Use this to learn and adapt so you can make yourself better. The only person who can keep you at a low level is yourself. Also Class N, please no Namu form unless you are against each other. Now let's all have fun and prove to everyone that appearances and quirks don't matter when it comes to what we want to be. With that said, I walked off the stadium with people asking what Namu form was. Midnight then walked back to the mic. Usually we would spin a wheel to choose events, but we have set up for 3 events and a special show after it all. Event 1 is an obstacle course. After that it is a cavalry battle. And the third and final event is tournament fighting. Between the big events we will have Class M doing their own mini tournament that is 2v2. After that we all got into position for the obstacle race. When the gun fired to signal our start, I just teleported to the end. With my run instantly done, I floated over the course to watch it all. Some Class N did use Namu form on some 3-pointers which were obstacle 1, but it was funny to see the bots go flying into the air. When the bots were about to crush someone as they came hurtling down, I teleported the ruined machines to a pile nearby. For the bottomless pit section, I just watched everyone get across in their own way. I did put people back where they were if they fell. Most were thankful at least. When the minefield came up, I just watched and counted how many different colored powders they used in them. A few people came out looking like walking rainbows. That's when Midnight explained the rules for the cavalry battle and that I had 1,000,000 points for being first. I teamed up with Mei, Uraraka, and Takoyami with a plan that made them all glad I was on their side. When I saw a flame tornado pop up during Class M's tournament, I knew which team made it instantly and smiled, glad they learned. We all got to enjoy the first stretch of matches as a few win NF and arm wrestle. It was so funny to see that the audience was laughing as one gave another a wedgie. With half of their tournament done, we all got ready for event 2. We had Uraraka on our shoulders, Takoyami as lead, with Mei and I in the rear. When the round started, I made holes and tunnels appear everywhere with emerald siding. We hopped in and everyone basically had to play cavalry whack-a-mole to even attempt to get our headband. As we popped out of one hole for a little bit, we had Takoyami's dark shadow steel headbands while people had their back turned. Unfortunately, Kaken figured it out and he blasted Dark Shadow, causing him to retreat quickly. The buzzer rang soon after, so it wasn't too big of a deal. The same teams and tournament bracket. Everything other than Izuku's battles will be canon. My first fight was against Shinzo. I simply shook his hand, boosting his quirk. Let's have a good fight, Shinzo. I don't answer himself since he now doesn't need to ask questions to mind control people. We watched the last of Class M's tournament with Ong and Zuko winning. They both were happy as hell and rushed to hug me. I returned the hug, pass out the medals with second place Grumpy. It's okay, you guys did awesome. Next year if you practice and train you might win and get first place. Metal and lightning is a good combo, but you need to refine and choose your medals better. I hug them and give out the rest of the rewards with a few little pep talks to some. When my match starts, I just stood there. He starts to call me a villain and such with questions like, what's it like to be a villain's crotch goblin? I actually laughed my ass off at that question. I never got that insult, but I thought up a question for him. What's it like to be liked by no one for a reason beyond your control? This stunned him as I quickly moved and pushed him out of the ring. I then told him, I boosted your quirk, and he replied to you as easy prey for your quirk now. With that I walked away and watched the next few battles. My next match was against Todoroki. Since his jerk of a father was arrested and his mom is no longer in a mental ward, he has become much more open and does use his fire now. The second the match started, he created a steam cloud to block both of our sights. After a minute for the steam to banish some, I had to quickly roll to the side as Todoroki had a very interesting idea. He formed ice over his fireside's hand and is using it as a cannon that blasts ice cannonballs as fast as he can blast and create them. Unfortunately for me, he got me a good few times with the ice cannonballs, destroying my body some. Once there were shards of emeralds, green diamonds, jade, and green gold all over the arena, I turned them into gemions, scaring everyone pretty badly. Someone screamed saying, "Lobo exists. Run." No clue who or what Lobo is, but it scares that dude. As I healed, I had the Gemians distract Todoroki and tire him out. Once my body was healed, I blasted Todoroki with a jade cannonball, blasting him out of the arena, but he was caught by some Gemians and I healed his wound. Lobo is a villain. Bounty hunter which can go toe-to-toe with Superman and can regenerate completely from a simple drop of blood. With that done, we all got let out for lunch, and according to some people near Lunch Rush stand, they saw him run into the school screaming when he saw me get broken apart. At first I didn't believe them until Lunch Rush returned with a pot big enough to fit Gigantomachia and then put it down in front of me. Lunch Rush panted, "This is all you're getting today. I will not make you any more food. This pot has 50 different sections of food, so you get some of all of this festival's options." I thanked him and gave him one of my arms and a leg. Some old guy who just now was walking by had his jaw drop. I know older generations joked about stuff costing an arm and a leg, but this is ridiculous. This made everyone there laugh, especially Lunch Rush and I. As I ate a variety of different foods, Power Loader came over and looked at me surprised. "Wait, Lunch Rush wasn't joking about you eating for hours." I shook my head as I finish a bunch of meatballs. I'm now glad I made him this odd pot and the dividers in it. "Please tell me you hid the SSB build directions in May's book." I froze and packed up my lunch. Crud, I forgot to. We then spent the next half hour hunting down May after I warped my pot into a 1-second spot in the bleachers with emeralds coating it as a warming. I finally find and corner her. "May, please tell me none of your stuff is powered by SSBs. I know you don't have any of the proper alloy to cover them properly." She paled and I trapped her to a wall and removed the batteries. I am so glad that Ida didn't blow up. "This auto balancer you made didn't have inertial dampeners." After properly coating them in the alloy, I put them back and removed the emeralds holding May in place. "May, you cut into my lunch, so you are now banned from making anything from the notebook for a month." I walk away after giving her book to Power Loader to keep away from her. Of course I ate as the other battles happen. Being blasted apart into shards gets me hungry. When Ida and I went to the arena, I was ready to go and I had a good prank to pull. As expected, he came full throttle at me and tried to push me out. I let him hit me, only for everything except my bones to shatter and form more skeletons to do this dance all around the battle arena just to cause Ida to get confused and cause some laughter. Once I was done singing and dancing, I kicked Ida out of the arena and reformed my body again before warping back to my food. When my match with Kakin was about to start, my nerves were shot. People kept bugging me as I was eating. You know, the made-up word used in Snicker commercials? I was the physical embodiment of that word with a side of rage. The second our match started, I warped him out of their battle arena and then warped into the pot with my food. Eventually, I felt my pot get moved to the award pedestal. Only when All Might was about to give me my medal did I poke my head out. "Can't I eat in peace, please?" I snatched the medal and closed the lid again, grumbling. By the time I finished eating, the school was empty and it was dark out. I warped home and my mom knocked my head off before putting it back. "Izuku, I taught you better manners than that. I understand a side effect of your quirks is you do get hungry when you have to reform your body, but that was no way to accept a medal, and Midnight came looking for you. When I said you were still in that giant pot, she left sad. Tomorrow you will apologize to her and to All Might." "Understood." I nodded as I healed where she broke me. The next morning in class, I apologized to the two of them and explained why I ditched Midnight and was rude at the award ceremony. Both understood my reasons, and Midnight rescheduled it for tonight. "Why me?" I yawned as I headed downstairs after a long day of dealing with Midnight since I blew her off. Instead of what would have been a few-hour date, became an all-day thing. First, we went to Disneyland Tokyo and rode almost all the rides. For an ancient theme park, it was a blast, except I had one question. Why is the mascot a giant talking rat? I got hit by Midnight when I asked that, and she told me his name is Mickey Mouse and he is not a rat. Honestly, I don't care, but I admit that some movies I watched from the 1900s weren't that bad. Didn't understand Sleeping Beauty or something called Muppets, but oh well. Once we were all done at the park, she dragged me to a store where she bought me a tux. The dress shirt was a light powder blue, black shoes with golden striped soles, dark jade green pants, and jacket. "I feel like a money in a jade suit," I muttered, thinking Midnight wasn't close enough to hear. "Well, you're my monkey tonight, Izuku. Just so you know, it was jade or fire opal." I snickered at that and looked at her. I rather not dress up like my evil dimensional copy. She was in a jade green dress with random veins of gold and yellow. Honestly, she looked nice, but I still don't think she is my type. We headed to the most expensive restaurant in Hasu. I tried to signal to the host to stay quiet about me owning the place, but of course it was a new guy. "Oh, Mr. Midoriya, I wasn't told you would be coming today, sir. Please follow me." He led us to a balcony table which very few knew about. Once we were seated, Midnight had to know, "Do you come here often?" It seemed like he was nervous. "Did you throw a fit when they ruined a meal?" I laughed and shook my head. As I was laughing, the head cook ran up to me. "Hey boss, I hope you're doing fine this evening." I smiled. "I usually am when I come here. Judging by how fast you came here, you found another old recipe." He nodded so fast his head actually fell off. Midnight screamed as I caught it. Carl, you need to wear your connection gear when you work. You're literally falling apart. I toss him back his head as it laughs. Midnight, meet Carl Ramsey. Quirk is dismemberment and he is the best cook around. Yes, he is related to Gordon Ramsay, the cook from a few centuries ago. He greeted her and apologized for falling apart. I actually found a few recipes this time. One is a small cake called a bundt cake and another is a soup called. 1 second, where's that note? I watch him fall apart looking for the note until I remove it from his hat. Carl, check your hat first next time. 7 can soup. Sounds simple and good. Midnight, if it's okay with you, do you want to try these out along with the regular meal? She nodded and I helped Carl put himself together. He rushed off happily as Midnight and I talked. We ate our meal and she had some wine as I drank some tea. After our meal we headed home with her giving me the evil eye. Anything else I need to know? I shook my head as we passed by a store. The manager rushed out and hugged me. Yeah, you came back to town, Izu. I chuckled and patted her head. Hello, Toga, how are you doing working at my store? She smiled, showing her fangs. It's fun except when people ask someone else to ring them up. I sighed. You know you can deny them service if they do that. It's literally on the wall behind the registers. I pointed out through the window and she face palms. I get her back to work and I freeze, feeling Midnight's murderous aura. Who was that, Izuku? Don't tell me you already have a girlfriend. I told her that Toga tried to kill me after her quirk made her a bit crazy. I just had her go to therapy and gave her a job when she got out. Midnight calmed down and I get us both to our respective homes. Of course Midnight wanted more but I told her no. When I got home I laid on my bed until a notification popped up on my PC. It's effing midnight. I hope this is important and not the hero Midnight. I want to relax some. I check and it was an email from an unknown person who called himself Midas. I want you to join the elementals. I am Midas, King of Gold. We have Neptune, North Wind, Hephaestus, and Zeus. If you join us we can get rid of the hero system. I sighed and looked up their code names to find out what they all were and assumed their names matched their quirks. I responded a bit later, no offense but I don't want to join any random team of people who literally use code names that match their quirks. Midas, you must turn stuff to gold if you touch it. Zeus uses lightning, I'm guessing. Etc. Message me again and I will find you. I didn't hear back from them that night but knowing my luck, I will meet them soon. I sat up after a long night thinking about the email from Midas. With a shrug I headed downstairs to watch TV, glad I had the day off since it's a Saturday. That's when my door was turned into gold and broken through. I am Midas and you will join us or else. I looked at the muscular female with a glare. 1. You broke my door. 2. You broke my door. 3. I already said a no. 4. It's one of my days to relax. 5. Intruders. That woke up the entire house including my mom but in Mama Bear mode. That's as when Zeus, Hephaestus, North Wind, and Neptune walked in. They were about to grab me to drag me wherever when all my Namu forms charged in and simply ruined them in 5 seconds. Once that was done I restrained them all and took their quirks temporarily. Let's find out what's up their asses. I'm tired of people bugging me for one reason or another. When they woke up they tried to use their quirks and I laughed. Don't worry, I currently hold your quirks. Now tell me, why did you destroy my door when I said no? The first to speak was Midas. We broke it to kidnap you and bring you to our lair. Once there we were going to torture you into joining. Why did I say that? I growled and NFs walked in surrounding them. One of the more feral looking ones spoke. You dare threaten the one who saved us? The one who gave us back our minds. Gave us home. Gave us hope. Izuku, let me eat them. I shook my head as I petted him like we planned. No, we won't eat them yet. I'm sure in their current forms they'll be bitter. That makes the 5 fools shake in fear. Fine, but I want Mita's brain. She destroyed the door I made you. I nodded, grinning. Of course you will get her brain. She ruined an awesome gift. Zeus then spoke up. The blonde dude looked like he was high on weed. Look man, Midas forced us to do this. All we wanted was to be left alone by the police and heroes when we smoke weed, do drugs, or use our quirks on my parents' property. Seriously, none of it is illegal but they keep bugging us because I am striking golden trees with lightning. Hephaestus turns the gold into jewelry. North Wind would cool it, and Neptune would get us drinks or make it rain over my property so it boosts my quirk. Izuku Midoriya was a simple child growing up. When he was of age for his quirk to manifest, instead of being a flashy quirk he got one that made him a big target. At first no one noticed that it manifested until a friend of his, Katsuki Bakugo, accidentally blew of a chunk of his arm when he tripped. Instead of screaming or grabbing where he was hit, Izuku didn't even notice. It wasn't until he noticed that the entire room was silent that he looked up from his drawing and saw a chunk of his arm on his table. For a few minutes Izuku just stared at it, then picked it up. Where did this come from? Why does it look familiar? That's when he saw a part of a temporary tattoo Katsuki gave him for his birthday was on it. Kaken, is this part of me? Izuku asked as he shakily looked at his arm. Instead of screaming, Izuku was dumbstruck. He was no longer flesh and blood. He was now living emeralds, and the chunk that was blasted off was already regrowing as if nothing happened. Tendrils of green gold reformed as veins, while emerald flesh and porcelain skin covered it all. I froze and slowly turned to them. You four are the idiots who kept me up at midnight with lightning and thunder when it wasn't supposed to happen. You five were my neighbors for over 10 years, and you drove me insane. I had to keep reporting you for keeping me awake when I was slowly losing the ability to sleep. I picked up Midas and recognized her. Damn it. Judy Milhouse from America. I drop her and identify the rest of them. All of them were neighbors who drove me and my mom crazy. Okay, let me put this in a way you idiots understand it. You were using your quirks between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Your quirks, especially Storm and Lightning, caused a shit ton of noise. You idiots were disturbing the peace, causing noise disturbance, and making it impossible for people to sleep. Now use your quirks during the day, or you can do it in the mountains behind my house. If you do it when people aren't sleeping or where you won't keep people awake, you'll be fine. Now bug me again for some dumb as reason and I will keep your quirks. Do I make myself clear, you stoned idiots? They all nod before I return their quirks and release them. They were lead out by the NFs. I fixed the door inside as yet another group of people destroyed the door. The Anti-Villain Federation destroyed all my external doors and every single window before they saw me standing in my living room shaking with rage. You destroyed my mansion. I bought this with my literal flesh, and I saved people who were illegally experimented on. I have done nothing to any of you. Now leave before I invoke Quirk Home Protection Act. They had a muscular guy with bone spikes and looked like he was part wolf walk over to me. I glared as I looked up at him as he punched me. It broke his arm as I wasn't moved at all. You call that a punch? This is a punch. I barely put any force into the punch, sending him through the walls behind him. What a weakling. I wasn't even using 1% of my power. Now leave or I will have to fill up about 10 different hospitals. They had a person put me in an air membrane cage, and I smirked as they pointed guns at me. That's when the leader walked over. It was Mineta. Any last words, villain? I just started to laugh. I laughed easily for an hour because by the time I was done, most were sat down or raiding my fridge. You idiots are following Pervert Supreme? Seriously, he has groped girls of all ages, tried to grope all of the UA girls supporting more than a B cup, and tried to grope my own mother. Izuku's mom stayed thin and tall but maybe got a bit curvier. In this world, she didn't end up looking like she got compressed by stress. Mineta panicked. This villain is lying. He abused his powers and makes people work like slaves in his house. Mocha, the grapist, is here. This caused Mineta to shake as she walked out. She honestly was in her 30 seconds but looked like she was 18 and had curves to put porn stars to shame. She sighed as she saw him. What do you want now? You know I don't like you. He struggled to contain himself. I am here to finally get rid of this stupid villain. This made Mocha laugh her ass off. You're more of a villain than he is. Hell, you groped me so many times I actually have spiked clothing ready to put under my uniform. She kept laughing as Mineta stuck her to the wall with his grape sticky balls. Shut up, you lying slut. He gagged her as I used my quirk to warp over and grab him by the neck. Mineta, you've now officially pissed me off. I'm invoking QHPA. I steal every intruder's quirk and call the police as NFs tie them up. As the police watch the security tapes and cuff the people in anti-quirk cuffs, I return the quirks. Give my back my quirk, you villain. You have no right to keep it. I sighed as I looked at Mineta. I boosted your quirk and you've only used it to be an even bigger pervert. Honestly, I don't think you deserve a quirk. I gave him back his birth quirk and the police take him away. I unsticky ball Mocha from the wall and she sighed. Apparently she hoped I'd use her for special times. After this was all cleaned up, I started to repair my mansion really mad. Hopefully on Monday I find him expelled. I sit in the classroom much earlier than anyone else as I grumble. Since the little anti-villain federation's invasion of my mansion, I haven't even been able to meditate. More branches of that stupid group have attacked me multiple times and at random times. Seriously, if their main branch fails, so will the rest. I am literally one more irritation away from attacking all of the branches to hopefully get my equivalent of sleep. My classmates came in and I just half-assed waved from how my sanity was crumbling. After a bit I see Mineta walk in and I grew lots of spikes, destroying my desk and scaring everyone. See, officer, he is a villain. Why won't you arrest him? Screamed the grape-headed fool. You assaulted me, Mocha, and 99% of the females here, and you expect me not to get mad when I see you. I still have to replace over 50 windows from your stupid stunt with the anti-villain idiots. The officer pulled him back and got between us. I was not told you had history, but he is still in this school but on parole and under very close supervision. I growled as I fixed my desk. If he attempts to grope anyone, I will take his quirk and replace it with one that if he is within 3 meters of a female, she will get the urge to avoid him. Mineta walks over to me and gets in my face. That reminds me, I want my full quirk back. The officer looks at me. What does that mean? I growled and warped Grapist to his seat, which got moved to a corner and surrounded with spikes. Stay there or else, Grapist. Anyways, first day of school, I boosted his quirk a tiny bit so he can turn his balls into simple items. When he attacked me a few days ago, I removed the boost. His quirk is still there, but as it was before the boost. The officer nodded and took a seat near the pervert. Shut up, Mineta. Boosts from other quirks don't count as your own quirk. Class was simple and kinda just a refresher, except each teacher asked why Mineta was spike-walled and had a cop next to him. Kakin explained each time so I wouldn't strangle anyone. When lunch started, the cop swapped with another and escorted Mineta to a special room where he got his lunch served to him. The rest of us enjoy lunch until class started back up. I was first into the classroom and ready to trap the grapist when Nezu walked in with Aizawa and Midnight. Nezu waved to me before we waited for the entire class to come in. Mineta has been expelled and has been marked on his ID as a dangerous person. During lunch, he attacked the cop, keeping an eye on him. While he was unsupervised, he groped 10 girls and tried to rape the 11th. She fought back and he killed her. I'm sorry, Izuku, but it was one of class and he is now in Tartarus, and should he ever be released, he is to be watched 24/7. I rushed to the area where the room Mineta was kept in, released the cop, and followed the grape trail to where he was caught. When I found the girl, I relaxed as she turned to dust, then returned to a flesh body. After covering her with a blanket, I took Phoenix to Nezu and explained her quirk. I then told my classmates that she was okay, and we did small bits of training as we still had to choose our hero agencies for us to intern under. I of course had hundreds, but I'm thinking of going to Hasu or try to get in under Night Eye. I know about his quirk, and hopefully if I copy it I can see my own future. I walk up to Night Eye's agency and take a step back as a weighted stamp comes at me from above. I look up and see Night Eye glaring from a window. You okay, sir? Need me to bring this weighted stamp up to your office? I gently pick it up, then warp up behind him in the office. Either way, here you go, sir. I place it on his desk, then warp down to reception where I give my name and why I am here. Once that's done, I walk back to his office where Night Eye is still glaring at me. Okay, Mr. Midoriya, be honest, why did you choose my agency after your father greatly injured my friend? I sighed. Honestly, I have two separate reasons. One is to copy your quirk and see if I can use it to see my own future. Something is bugging me and I am hoping I stay clear of my father's path like my dreams and his dying wish. The other reason is hoping that if you support me, even more people will stop seeing my father's shadow over me. After some silence with me looking down, he forces me to look him in the eye. I copy his quirk as he touches me and he pulls away scared for some reason. Your future is not usable. That's impossible. There's never been anyone I couldn't read. I stiffen and think a bit. I think it's because I'm a living gem. I'm not flesh and blood like others. I break my arm and show him before I reconnect it. Wait, I can boost it. I hold out my hand nervously. Night Eye takes it, eager for an answer as I greatly boost it easily. I remove the touch and direct eye contact. It can be a reflection or a picture in a high enough resolution now. Try now. I removed physical and made it so a high enough quality picture and a reflection of a person's eyes can use your quirk. He shook his head. Sorry, but no, it's still not working. He looked at an All Might poster and his eyes widened in shock. His future has changed, but how? His injury. Wait, there is two of you in room. I look at him and use the quirk and adjust the viewing more to add sound. Being able to fast forward and rewind it or just instantly learn it all. Night Eye, I just tried your quirk on you. Some guy named Overhaul ends you unless I act now to stop it. He froze and looks at me. Do you know what he is doing? I nod and use Cyber Izuku's quirk to show it all and watch as his future branches off, with one being him living till old age. If you give me permission now, I will figure out why my future is hidden and arrest Overhaul and his evil crew. His bullets won't work on me. I give permission, but you will armor me in your gems and bring me along. Need any quirks for your plan? I shook my head and explained Vamp Izuku and his ability to create quirks. I don't use his quirk because it takes a lot of concentration to make quirks from scratch, but if there's a base to work from, it's a lot easier. He asked for a list of base quirks and got people with quirks close to what was needed. After that, he put me in a soundproof room where I did what was needed and made custom emerald armor for Night Eye and his main apprentice with permeation as a quirk. To go to Mirio seems like a good guy, just overly energetic, and his hero name, Lemillion, is kinda funny, but I understand it. Once I was done, I dozed off in the room. When I wake up in a different room, I freak out and prepare to break down the door. Right when I punched it, Tagada opened the door and instantly became intangible so I wouldn't hurt him. I quickly pull my arm back. I'm so sorry, I was just freaked out being in a random room. People have tried to kidnap me before, so I sigh and show him my emerald insides by removing the porcelain skin on the arm. He was stunned and poked it. Be glad Nejire isn't here, she would flood you with questions. He laughed some. Anyways, Night Eye loves the armor, but I don't think I can wear mine. I smiled. I infused the emeralds with your quirk. I would have used your hair as a catalyst, but I don't want to force it to grow a lot. We talk and joke a bit before we get to the armor room. He slides it on and goes through the floor with it, surprised. When he came back up, I see Night Eye in his gem armor, which looks like a nice emerald suit with a helmet, gloves, and very nice jade-soled dress shoes. Impressive spite. If this goes well, may I keep this armor? I might even get some suits in this color later. I nodded, of course. Oh, also forgot Eraserhead's quirk won't even work through the emerald armor. After that, a bunch of cops and the three of us end up at Overhaul's base. I suddenly got what I can only call a headache. Something is wrong. I've never felt anything like it, and I quickly learn why. The timeline is greatly changing. I need to hurry and head to Hasu. Night Eye, I apologize, but something is wrong. I sense I'm needed in Hasu soon. I'm ending this now. I summon skeleton Gemians who raid the base. As they act as the main catchers with built-in restraints, I create normal Gemians to act as brawlers. I then motion for Night Eye and Lemillion to follow me. Okay, Spite, what's going on? This is far from the plan. I sigh and point to the ground in the middle of a street. He is about to pop out. 3, 2, 1. The second I say one, Overhaul, one of his goons, and a girl with a horn came out of a door Overhaul created. Overhaul, give up now or get beat up and arrested either way. He glared until he saw me. I know you. You're All For One's bastard son. I smirked as I nodded. And you're a germaphobe with a god complex. How about you give up before I make you armless? He charges me and tried to use his quirk on me, only for nothing to happen. He tapped me a few times before I knocked him out with a single chop to the back of his neck. As I took out Overhaul, Lemillion got his goon. I had Night Eye cuff them both as I went to the little girl. Hello there, I'm Midoriya Izuku and I'm the hero in training Spite. What's your name? She sniffled a bit. I'm Marie. Are you going to take my blood too? All three of us heroes stiffened at that statement. I looked at Night Eye. Permission to take his quirk completely. A man who hurts a young girl doesn't deserve it. Night Eye nodded and I stole it. I then looked at Eri. No, we will never do that. We are here to stop him from causing trouble. Come with us and he will never hurt you again. She hugged me and I carried her to the police and told her to listen to them and Night Eye. I then warped to where I was needed in Hasu. I barely left the portal when I was stabbed. I looked at my chipped skin and up at the stabber. Hello, Stain. I'm hero in training Spite. I apologize for interrupting, but I can't let you continue. He scoffed until he tried to lick the blade only to find it bent and bloodless. What the hell, is your quirk some form of hardening? I shook my head and looked to Native, his current target. Call Night Eye, please. He gave me permission to fight and will need my location, please. Native got to it as I looked at Stain. No, I'm the Emerald Child, the Walking Fortune, the hero in training Spite, the son of One for All, Midoriya Izuku, and my quirks are Quirk Vault and Living Emerald. Stain got really mad, and I mean really mad. He released an aura of killer's intent that was almost solid. Wow, that intent felt similar to Endeavor's when he tried to kill me. His was more angry but pretty close. This angered him. Do not compare me to that fake hero. Of course he tried to cut me again. I let him try until he wore himself down. After he was tired as hell, I cuffed him. Let me go, you fake hero. I sighed and whispered in his ear, please don't call me that. Just because my father, who had nothing to do with raising me, was evil, doesn't mean that I am. With Native's help, we got him to jail with lots of people taking pictures, muttering about the emerald flesh visible all over my body because of stains slashing off my porcelain skin, and a few anti-villain idiots throwing tomatoes at me. Once he is fully booked, Night Eye showed up and looked me over scared. Midoriya, are you okay? You're missing a lot of skin. I nodded and forced more to form as I warped and absorbed all my Gemians, which served their use. I'm almost perfect now, just very hungry. A few of my Gemians were destroyed and Stain was really mad at me. Native heard that. What do you mean he was mad? Did you backstab him, villain? He posed to fight me, but Night Eye got between us. This shocked me and Native along with all the cops around us. He is not a villain. I saw his future. He will be a great hero. Spite will be a household name as a hero who works with All Might. I stiffened in shock and began to cry some jade tears. I was happy. I knew I wasn't going to end up like my father. Night Eye put his hand on my shoulder. I lied when I said I couldn't see your future. I was scared as I saw two futures. You just sealed the one you wanted. Let's go to a buffet nearby. I remember you went kinda crazy hungry after your battles at the sports festival. I nodded and followed him, leaving a few mini Gemians to grab my tears and bring them to me to sell later to my jeweler friend. The next day I was working on my shield watch as Eri woke up. Izuku, why are you up before me? Did you sleep too late yesterday? I chuckled and finished the modifications I was working on. I actually don't need to sleep, Eri. My body being a gem, there's no need. I made my arm ring by hitting a metal bedpost. This made her rush over and saw that under my porcelain skin was emeralds. What are you made of? I laughed and braided her hair as I explained it to her. Izuku, can we get breakfast? I nodded. Sure, what would you like? Apples. I chuckled and finished braiding her hair, making a jade hair clip with emerald flowers. How about some eggs, pancakes, and apple juice? She nodded and tried to drag me down to the kitchen. After breakfast, Night Eye walked in. Morning, Spite and Eri. Did you two sleep well? Eri nodded. Izuku didn't though. I nodded. Sleeping is kinda optional, but excessive quirk usage or stress can cause me to get tired. Excessive as in using quirk creation or fixing my body a lot. Night Eye understood and handed me some papers. You have to go on patrol today and you may take Eri if she is in armor. I take off my watch and put it on her wrist, adjusting it some to fit her. Kinda saw that coming. Eri press pink to summon armor, blue for shield, and red to call for help. She nods as I point to each color just in case. I formed my spikes through my porcelain skin and she hit the armor button. From her neck down, indestructible fabric formed. It was snow white with streaks of green. A bit of metal formed over her horn as well. Why is her outfit white and green? Toga asked as he walked into the room. Simple, she's my sister, the snowball of the family. Eri looked up at me. What's a snowball? I stiffened up and then knelt down. You've never seen snow? She shook her head as she asked what it was. Night Eye, can you find a snow machine for tomorrow? I'll pay for the renting of it. He nodded and I went out on patrol with Eri on my shoulders at first. After a couple of hours I was attacked by a big-fisted moron. I was sent backwards a few feet and I saw who punched me. Hello again, brick for brains. How long has it been? 12 years now. I smirked as I looked at Eri. Sis, fly up and signal for help please. She nodded and flew up quickly, floating out of range and hitting the red button. I'm surprised you remembered me, Emerald Child, my first kidnapper said as he walked out of the shadows. I shrugged. Kinda hard to forget you tried to kill me. Your son made sure of that. I got into a fighting stance as he laughed some. He then launched himself at Eri to grab her. She formed her shield and broke his nose as he flew right into it. That brat broke my nose. I laughed as I cuffed the guy. You forgot I escaped you and other kidnappers, didn't you? Of course I would protect my sister. Eri, you can come down now. She does and tries to heal his nose. She succeeded to and also healed his injuries from jail accidentally as she struggled to stop her power. Wait, she can fly and heal. What else is a surprise in your family? I held him in place as he looked at his less reflection in a nearby window. She is adopted and I gave her the ability to fly to train her quirk control. She's getting much better. Be glad she cut it off before you became a baby. This scared him as heroes arrived and took him away. Night Eye showed up and looked him over. Odd, he looks younger than his ID. Spite did Eri. I nodded. He launched himself at her and broke his nose on her shield. She healed him since she felt bad. She cut it off at about 12 years. He looks like right before I broke his foot when he first tried to kidnap me. I filled Night Eye on my history with him and he sighed. Now people will want her. I shrugged. Just let them try to take her. My mansion has a ton of very strong guards. Helps that I saved a lot of Namu. What's in Namu? I picked up Eri and smiled. Don't worry about it, Eri. Let's get some lunch. Chipotle or McDonald's? Eri looked down at me. Which one has apples? I shook my head. Eri, you can eat more than just apples. Let's go to Chipotle and get some big burritos. I could use a good meal. We had lunch and went back on patrol. She enjoyed it as she played and talked to some kids who asked my hero name. After a bit we returned to Night Eye's agency where she played a bit with Toga and a hero called Bubble Girl. Night Eye called me up to his office where he gave me a new hero's license. You are now a pro hero just in case you have to protect Eri or yourself. I also talked to the hero board and you are now legally able to fully remove or give quirks to your discretion. I couldn't help but cry jade tears. Finally I am a hero. It may not be how I imagined it, but finally I am a hero. He dismissed me saying I could return home tomorrow since heroes don't have to intern. After collecting my nerves I headed to Eri. Eri, you ready to meet Mom? We are heading home tomorrow. She cheered and hugged me before she asked for me to set up her flying course so she can show off a little bit. Sure thing, but let me get you a reward, okay? She nodded as I rushed off to the toy store and a candy store. I returned with the stuff and set up her course. Okay, this time 2 laps and you must fully land between laps. She whined. Why must I land when flying is so much fun? I ruffled her hair slightly. You meant to only heal the guy's nose, correct? She nodded. You rewound him to about 12 years ago. Now fully landing and having to restart your quirk will help you learn control. I'm just trying to help you out, okay? She nodded and thinks a bit, putting pink weights in certain spots under the course. What are you doing, Eri? She smiled. More landing spots where I gotta do something that requires me to land fully. I gave her an apple juice box. Smart idea. Now drink your juice and get ready, okay? Maybe if you do good enough you and I can fly home instead of riding a train. That idea made her basically bounce off the wall. Once I got her calmed down I pulled out my phone, pulling up the clock app to use the stopwatch. Whenever you are ready, go. I'm going to time you and you will have to do this a few times with a break, okay? She nodded then took off. First time was just over 10 minutes, the second was 8 minutes, and the third time was 4 minutes. She was learning faster than I expected. Each time I have her a small toy until the last one. For the last one I hugged her and gave her a big caramel apple. You are already doing really good, Eri. Your first time going through was 10 minutes. The one you just did was 4. At less than half of what you did the first time. She enjoyed her treat and went through the course eating it for fun. I watched her and smiled as Toga pulled me to the side. You got her quirk control almost to pro level already. I could have used you as a teacher years ago. I smiled and nodded. My quirk, aptly named Quirk Vault, has copied many intelligence quirks. I can plan and understand quirks with it, even Eris. I quickly ate an apple, then returned it to before I ate it. You may see my teaching ability as a blessing, but eventually I'll end up the immortal teacher of future heroes. When Eri finished her treat, we had supper, took our showers, and she went to bed. I stayed up thinking, will being immortal be worth losing the ones I love over and over? I woke Eri up at 8 and have her do a couple of laps after breakfast. To God, a thought that I am being too rough on her as I shook my head. All I am doing is giving her an edge compared to other kids and making it so she doesn't accidentally erase someone again. Once she was done, I gave her a new outfit that would kinda make her look like a flying squirrel. Eri, this is a glider suit. It's made to let you glide so you don't constantly have to use your power. I helped her into it as we headed up to the roof. Once we get up there, I formed my own so she wouldn't feel silly in a glider suit. After we got ready, we jumped off the roof and began to fly off towards my hometown. I made sure that she was following me and did some loop-de-loops to keep her entertained. I saw a kid being beat up near UA and yelled, "Eri, stay up here for me." I drove down at high speeds and did a hero landing behind the bullies. Back away from the kid right now. You should know better than to bully anyone. They looked at me and laughed. Look, a quirkless helping a quirkless. What's next? His prostitute girlfriend is gonna run over and offer SX to save them. They started laughing loudly and I just trapped them in a giant emerald box. With them yelling, I headed over to the hurt kid and healed him. There you go. I'm guessing they attack you often? The kid nodded and I checked for his quirk. When I saw the results, I helped him up. You do have a quirk, but you must train your body to unlock it. I can speed that up, or you can train your body to move faster and stronger. The kid looked confused as Eri landed next to me. Izuku, do I need to heal him? I shook my head and ruffled her hair. I took care of it already. You need to train your flying and rewinding more, okay? She nodded and flew back up into the air. She has 2 quirks. I nodded. I gave her flight to make it easier to control her other one and for us to get home. She has severe claustrophobia. Now your quirk is muscle-based. Unfortunately, it's similar to muscular, and you can form muscle fibers to increase your strength and speed. Unfortunately, you can only spawn up to 1000x your body's amount of pink muscle. You have none in your body. I explain it to him and give him a training regimen to convert all of his muscles to pink. He thanked me and ran home as I scolded the 2 bullies. Of course, they wouldn't listen until I showed them my license. I am a pro hero and it's not part of my job to stop bullies, but I do. I am making the world a better place. I warned them if I saw them bulky anyone again, I would toss them into juvie. After that, I let them go and joined Eri in the sky before we continued to my mansion. When we landed, my mom greeted Eri and gave her a tour of the mansion. Eri loved her new bedroom but asked why there were multiple beds. I laughed a bit and knelt down. I have saved many who were tested on. We are kinda short on room at the moment, but the twins said they would love to share their room with you. They go by their nicknames, so you might get called the Neapolitan Trio. Eri looked at me confused before the twins came in. One with chocolate-colored hair and the other with strawberry color. They greeted her and played with their toys. It was during lunch when Eri asked, "Izu, what's Neapolitan?" I couldn't ask earlier. I laughed and asked her to give me a second. With a quick walk to the massive freezers, I pulled out a giant tub of Neapolitan ice cream and showed it to Eri. I then explained the joke and she smiled. I get it, but I'd rather be apple-flavored instead of vanilla. This made me and the twins laugh as they helped explain it some. For the next couple of days, Eri met with all the Namu form and adjusted to being cared for. She was curious about everything and I answered all I could. When we took a bus that my mom bought to school, Eri sang songs with the little kids as we headed to UA. The bus was parked and we all headed to our classes. Well, almost everyone. Eri followed me to a one where my entire class awed. Ada spoke first. Midoriya, is that a new NF? I looked at Eri then snapped at him. Eri, is she not a that? Also, she is my younger sister. Eri waved then looked up at me. Was I supposed to follow strawberry and chocolate? I nodded and sighed. Yeah, you were, but it's okay. I'll take you to that classroom in a second. Can you guys tell Aizawa what happened, please? They nodded and I took Eri to her class. Okay, Eri, be good, listen to the teacher, and if you have questions I am sure they will be able to help you, okay? She nodded and I went to class. Aizawa waited out in the hallway for me and I could hear my classmates talking. Congrats, Midoriya, you're the youngest hero ever. You can now drop out and start your hero career right now. I shook my head. I want to finish school. I may be a pro, but there's always more to learn. We went into the classroom and I saw that Gyro, Aka Earjack, had eavesdropped on me and Aizawa. Tell anyone and I will make you into a Namu, understood? She nodded and I went to my seat. Morning classes went by normally except present Mike and Midnight giving me odd looks. Everyone noticed but decided not to ask during lunch as Lunch Rush tried to make Eri some apples and other healthy food she might like. Every girl loved Eri and asked when she was adopted. I told them about the raid on Overhaul, but I left out a lot of details. When I got to my mom adopting Eri and her and I flying home, I said, Eri does have another quirk, but no asking please. She needs to work on controlling it. After lunch, Uri went off with the twins and my class got ready for hero studies. This is when the fecal matter hit the air circulation device. All Might walked in, and when he saw me he could stop himself in time. "Hey young Midoriya, I heard about the raid. Congrats on becoming the youngest pro hero ever." Aizawa groaned. I nearly cussed, and Bakugo lost his shit. "Deku, what the F does he mean you are a pro?" I glared at a now scared All Might. "All Might, you owe me big time. I was going to tell them after the summer." "You tell them, but leave out Uri's true quirk." I avoided Bakugo's attempt to grab me and floated to the ceiling. When Bakugo tried to use his quirk, I erased it temporarily and I warped everyone to Site Beta. We let him destroy buildings in rage as we let him cool down. "Midoriya, you might need to talk to Cyber Izuku to make an anger management box for Bakugo." I nodded and told him I would later. When he calmed down, All Might told them all about the raid, but I cut him off when he nearly mentioned something I don't want them to know. They all congratulated me for becoming pro, and then Uraraka asked a big question. "Wait, if you're a pro, why are you here?" I groaned. "I still have stuff to learn, so I'm here. I'm not going to pull a nuclear Pomeranian and dive in head first." That makes everyone but Bakugo laugh. He tries to attack me, but he gets dive-bombed by Uri. "Leave big bro alone." I floated up. "Uri, what are you doing here?" She pointed to her class just walking in and looking at the damage caused by Bakugo. "Training day." I sighed and shook my head. "Okay Uri, we gotta break the quirk rule. Let's fix this place up." Aim for about 2 hours ago. After that we turned back time on all the damage. She took care of the smaller things as I repaired totally or mostly destroyed buildings. Everyone was watching, and when we finished, Uri needed a nap. Momo made her a pink sleeping bag with apples on it, which Uri got into and dozed off. I then explained her quirk and that Overhaul used her body to make quirk erasing bullets. I pulled one out of my pocket. The small bullet was encased in emeralds, but you could see what it was. This prototype could have erased a person's quirk for a month. They were not far off from permanent ones. I held Uri on my lap in her sleeping bag as I cried some jade tears. No one should have to deal with stuff like that, let alone a child. After that we did our lessons, and I carried Uri home as she got really tired using her quirk. I woke her up for supper and then put her back to bed. I hope she never feels pain again. It was middle of the night and I couldn't even meditate like I wanted to. Something was bugging me, but I didn't know what. The look in some of my classmates' eyes when they saw her quirk. Well, only 2, but still. Wait, only 1 didn't cry when I told the story. She almost seemed very mad about it being found out. I hope my hunch is wrong. Using Cybermess quirk, I hack into all the cameras and see the person walking down some dark alleys. I watch her go into an abandoned building, basically kicking the door down. She is barely in there for a few seconds before I see the flash of gunfire and see shadows moving on the walls. After a minute of gunfire it stops and she walks out holding a briefcase and a file she definitely didn't have before. I decide to warp on a nearby roof and watch her as I hope I am completely wrong. She heads into an illegal club after the bouncer greets her saying, "Welcome back, Xena. Been a while since you came here." I groaned and used Tagata's quirk to get into the club. Luckily she somewhat stood out as she headed to the back and vanished from view. Why can't it ever be easy? While mentally cussing, I snuck into the back and watched what was going on. "Xena, it's been a while. Got anything on the living gem to use against him? I want him either dead or making me money. He ruined the quirk bullet plan." The girl smirked as she removed her blood-soaked boots. "He has a sister. His mom adopted the girl used to make them." He cried jade tears thinking about what she went through. "I bet if we get her we can do both schemes." The bullet in his body. The guy she was talking to laughed, his body jiggling as he looked like if Santa shaved and became a pimp. "I will send my best assassins to grab her later. First I want him to meet me so I can talk him into surrender, but backstab him anyways. Your parents will no longer have their money problems. Consider their debts paid." Uraraka smirked. "If possible, just kill my parents. I am sick of them telling me what I can and can't do. Seriously, I have full gravity control and they are quirkless thanks to the gem's father. I hate the stigma of being their child." I coughed, making myself known. "I really hoped you weren't the mole. Unfortunately, you threatened my family." "No one f's with my family." The guy shoots me with bullets and it just sounds like an off-key piano is being played. When his clip is emptied, I knock him out and cuff him. That's when Uraraka increased my gravity. I knew I should have cried earlier. "You're too smart for your own good, Deku. I wish I had found a simpler way to kill you." She laughed as she kept increasing it while I let her think she was in control. "Why do you hate your parents so much?" She kicked me in the face. "Because they are quirkless. They were both born quirkless and I luckily formed one. The stigma of them being my parents made me a target of bullying. Maybe with them dead I can finally be free of them." I sighed and just stood up as if it wasn't a problem. "You truly are an idiot. You're under arrest, Uraraka. I was really hoping you weren't the mole. I was going to ask you out." With her stunned, I knocked her out, arrested the entire club, and called the cops. By 4 a.m. there were 600 arrests, a mole in jail, and a Santa wannabe singing like a canary blaming Uraraka. I went to school late and grumbled as every single one of my classmates asked if I knew where Uraraka was. After the 14th time I was asked, I basically screamed. She was the effing mole and is in jail. She planned to have her parents, Iri, and I killed. If you don't believe me, I will willingly show the arrest cause I was there. I punched the wall, destroying a good section of it before I headed up to the roof. After a little bit, Bakugo walked up inside. So round-face was the mole. I am sorry, the first girl you liked was a villain. Who knows what else she would pull if you didn't catch her so soon. I just groaned and curled up. I am an idiot. I saw flags from the damn start and didn't trust my gut. Bakugo chuckled and hit me upside the head. Finally something human from you. You let hormones win. After he calmed me down, we went back to class and Aizawa made sure I saw a small note when I entered. She escaped but left a note. During a break he handed me a copy of the note. Deku, when I get my feet back on UA soil or near your mansion, you are dead. I don't care if I have to use my quirk 100 years to do it. You ruined my freedom, I will crush yours. I burned the note and called Kurogiri. If you see Uraraka, get her to the police. She is threat level 6. She lied about her quirk and is out for blood. I heard clattering pans as Kurogiri replied. Understood, Izuku. Should I activate the patrol plan or just be looking for one? I growled. Go full alert. She is not getting any of my family. Alert all of M and N and I will tell Iri. I saw Iri at lunch and warned her about Uraraka and that she is as dangerous as Overhaul but for different reasons. Iri nodded and went along with her day. Today has gone from bad to worse. Why did I get infatuated with a villain and why do I feel so betrayed by her? Either way, I have to stop her and soon. I walked through the city at night. It's been a week since Uraraka escaped jail and it's only made me angrier with each day that passes. My classmates are getting worried as I talk less and snap more. Honestly, I don't care. I just want the beach caught and in Tartarus. Her betrayal hit me harder than most and Bakugo knew it. After a night of patrolling I came home, showered, got dressed, and headed to school. I promised them I would keep going to class and I will keep it, even though it's the least worrying thing on my mind currently. While I help Kurogiri make breakfast I hear Iri ask why I'm not so nice anymore. Though I froze for a bit, I got back to cooking and doing the dishes. I go through the school day and instantly go on patrol once it's done. I warp from time to time to different towns and areas I don't look through often. When I bumped into Fat Gum he tried to talk to me. I was courteous, but that's it. When he noticed I had other things on my mind he sat me down. Okay, Spite, what is wrong with you? You look like you want to remove someone's head. I sighed. It's about Uraraka, the UA mole. I was going to ask her out in the literal day before she accidentally gave herself away. She made a disgusted face as I told them all about how I saved Iri. Fat Gum was stunned. Wow, that is very, I want to cuss but on duty. I nodded as I snapped my fingers, creating a temporary sound barrier around us. Go ahead. I put up a sound barrier so sound comes in but doesn't go out. He let out a flurry of cusses, some of which I never heard of. That sums out how I feel, Fat Gum. Potential girlfriend found out to be evil. I sighed and removed the barrier. Fat Gum nodded and stood up. I get off work in a little bit. There's a club nearby that I visit. How about we get some drinks and you meet some new people? I shrugged. Sure, but I can't drink. I have school tomorrow. Fat Gum laughed. I will call in a favor. You need to relax, bud. I nodded and walked with him, helping him with some random thugs. People asked who I was, but I stayed quiet as Fat Gum just called me a hero in training. He gets off his shift and we both go to the club. I met lots of heroes, heroines, a few in training, and very few civilians in the club. As I was enjoying a story from a newer hero as I spotted Uraraka. The only reason I was sure was that she flipped me off and ran away. I apologized before I chased her into an alley where she laughed. You are so easy to trick. Get him, boys. That's when a person who can almost infinitely eat and a person who can form crystals attacked me. I simply froze time and edited both of their quirks. I removed Bottomless Pit's hunger and made it so Crystal Dude can fully retract any he forms without pain or breaking them. With them dealt with, I trapped Uraraka and dragged her to the police station. She was stunned and tried to use her quirk, but I stole it. She cussed me out for ruining her plans as I simply stated, you also ruined mine. I hope you learn your lesson that quirks are not everything. My father learned it as he was dying. Don't make his mistakes. I left with the entire police force, jaws dropped as I returned to the club. Fat Gum saw me walking in. Who did you chase after? She looked familiar. I told him as I got some pretty heavy drinks. Found out another benefit or a curse of my body. I can't get drunk. I can drink everyone under the table and feel nothing. With anger still flooding my brain, I left the bar and headed home. I spent the next few hours fighting Hood since he can't sleep either. By the time I was supposed to be getting ready for school, I had beaten Hood in every fight. I healed him up, showered, then ate breakfast with everyone. I had gotten rid of most of my anger, but I still felt it. While we headed to school on our bus, I meditated to get rid of my anger fully until I found its source. My green gold heart was broken. I had more than a crush on Uraraka. I loved her. Class went on boringly, but during lunch Midnight called me to her office. Okay, Midoriya, what's wrong with you? For the past week you have been angry. You nearly broke Bakugo's nose. Today you're moping. What's going on? I sighed and explained it all. Me catching Uraraka and figuring out why I felt so angry, which turned to sadness when I figured it out. She sighed and hugged me. Heartbreak is natural for everyone, though it's never physical like yours. There's multiple ways to get over it, though really limited for you. We spent lunch talking and she made me feel better. When lunch was over, I headed back to class and looked at the page of people wanting dates from me. I was still mad and upset about Uraraka, but maybe I do need a girlfriend. I may never fully get over her, but I have to try. It's been a week since I put Uraraka back into jail. I found the Eater and the Crystal Dudes again when I was just randomly warping around. Both thanked me and I invited them to join the others I have helped. They both joined and I notified Nezu about 2 more Class N students. After a bit of talking and me doing some rounds as a hero, I took them to an apartment complex I had bought and put them in their own rooms. With them settled and I headed home, where I got tackled by Iri. "Oh, I forgot you're not soft, Izuku." I chuckled and ruffled her hair. "Sorry, Iri. You have a good afternoon." She nodded and showed me a clay figure she was working on. It was detailed and looked like a young person. I couldn't really tell who, but it was cool. "That looks good, Iri. I can't wait for it to be finished." She smiled and went back to the art room. With her happy, I headed to my room and looked at a pile of letters, printed emails, and texts. I began to sort through them and sort them out some. Using a quirk I created from scratch, I would look at the writer's, texter's true intent. Most were gold diggers, a couple were after a super quirk baby, and a handful of psycho stalkers. I threw all of them out after putting their names on a spreadsheet I made. Wow, this world is messed up. So many teens after the wrong things. I'm starting to sound like an old man. I looked at the last 3 and groaned as I knew who each of them were from personally. One was from Midnight, and you can guess what she wants. Mocha was the second one, and she was close to Midnight in her intent, but she felt it was more for paying back what I did for her. The last one was actually from Momo. I knew she was a nice and rich person, but she was doing it because her father wanted her to, and she has a crush on me. Out of irritation, I groaned and pinned them to my wall before I headed down for supper. Supper was uneventful until one of the female NFs started to read some of the letters I've gotten from different girls. The girls blushed and the males all cheered until I grabbed and incinerated them. "I am sorry, but they are all after a quirk baby. The money I used to help you all, or they are insane. They are not worth looking into." I left the table and created a mini incinerator in my room for future use. The house was pretty silent after that until Iri walked in. "Izuku, I am sorry about earlier. I was helping with garbage duty and saw the letters." Before I could tie the bag, she grabbed them. I chuckled and hugged her. "It's okay, Iri. You didn't plan for it to happen. Now isn't it your bedtime? Go shower and get to bed. We have school tomorrow." She hugged me and went her way as I just laid on my bed. I spent the night trying to decide who and why to pick them. That's when I thought about visiting my doubles, Vamp and Cyber Me. I opened a portal to Cyber's and hopped through it, looking at All for One, All Might, Cyber's mom, Cyber, Izuku, Iri, and May all looking at me confused. Cyber tapped my leg, and when he heard the note sound from it, he chuckled. "Odd timing for a visit, Gem Izuku. What's the occasion?" All Might pointed to me. "This is one of the 2 you met during training." He nodded. "Yes, he is Dad Might." This made him and his mom blush, but All for One clench his fist for a few seconds. "I guess it's best I update you on how far my world is, and since your sliding quirk isn't very accurate, you might have some time distortion. I got into UA both support and hero class with May. I saved Iri, became a full-on pro hero, beat up my mom's ex, and dumpster fire multiple times. Oh, I found out I'm a reaper of Lady Death, the literal goddess of death. Had a summer training camp which ended yesterday. Found out my dad is AFO and Dad Might is dating Mom." I looked at him for a minute as I tried to register all he said. "Wow, you've done a lot." "Well, I saved Iri too. I've given her the ability to fly to control her power. Became a pro, found out my crush is evil, put her in jail twice, and now I'm lost." At the last bit I sigh and May hugs me gently. "It's okay, Gem. Not everything goes as planned." He got turned into a cat by a female Nico version of himself. I chuckled. "Wait, you're not joking." Both shook their heads and pointed to Iri. Cyber chuckled. She liked the Nico version so much she wanted to be one. "I've kinda spoiled my snowball of a daughter." I smiled. My mom adopted my Iri, and she's being watched over by ex-Namu I was able to save. For the next couple of hours we talked and joked around, some hearing everyone's stories and me learning at least some more of what my father might have been through. After that I asked for tips to get over a broken heart. They told me some good ones, but reminded me that if she wasn't meant for me, it was going to end badly either way. Plus, sometimes you gotta look at all options, even if it's the same gender. I thanked them and created a portal to head to Vamp Izuku. I left and ended up in what looked like a castle in the middle of nowhere. Before I could figure anything out, I was pinned to the wall by some bedazzled bunny girls which looked somewhat familiar. Midnight, Mount Lady, what happened in this reality? They dragged me to a big throne room where I saw an older version of Vamp me on a throne with Momo on his lap. At first he was confused until my leg hit against a statue. Gem Izuku, is that you, my good me? I nodded. Hey Fire Opal, what have you been up to and how many years have passed? I must have gone far for you to be in your 20s. He laughed and had the two release me. I'm sure you've had your internship and summer camp by now. It is honestly just a bit after camp if our timelines match up some. I went through a loop into the past and replaced the current loop of myself. I'm very old but still only 15. He laughed and got off his throne and walked down to me. So what brings you by? In the doghouse with your girl. I'm sure Uraraka will calm down. I groaned. Was it that obvious I liked her? Anyways, she was a bad person and I had to put her in jail twice. He looked stunned. That's a shocker. My Uraraka is so innocent it makes me sick. We can trade Urarakas if you want. I shook my head. I just need tips about hairbreak. He winced. Never had it happen, so I'm useless in that department, but it shouldn't be hard to find a new girl. You're a what trillionaire by now. Most girls would love to snag you. This made me groan and sit on the floor. I know, but I want real love, not some stupid gold digger only after my money or a quirkist after a super baby. I literally have 5,000 emails a day asking for a date. Even some of my ex-Namu want me. Vamp sat next to me. Ex-Namu, as in you made them human again. How? I told him how I did it and he relaxed some. I'm going to have to do that. Toga was accidentally made into a Namu. I keep her around because it's so much fun seeing her shapeshift. I nodded. I know. I got my Toga into therapy and she's working at a store I own. She's nice to talk to, but sometimes her bloodlust hits and she ruins my shirts. We both laugh and he stands up. Maybe try her, Shoto or Midnight. Your Shoto might be a better Shoka if you get my meaning. I groaned and punched him. Not going to gender bend him. Anyways, thanks for the help. Good luck taking over the world. I hopped home and meditated. Those two realities are vastly different. I wonder what path I will end up on. I walked into the classroom, froze, backed out to check the room. A one okay. I then walked in looking at everyone. Okay, what's going on here and why is everyone wearing or putting on green wigs? Everyone froze and looked at me. The only one not participating was Bakugo, who had a very burnt wig on his desk. As I looked around, everyone had green wigs of their hairstyles. The funniest was Shoto's, as he had green on one side and black on the other. Momo walked over to me. We noticed you've been feeling down and wanted to try to cheer you up. Plus you're usually late, so we had time to set up and convince Bakugo to join in. I laughed and shook my head. He has too much pride to cover his hair. He literally uses 90% of his allowance on hair gel, hairspray, and burn-resistant spray so he doesn't singe it. He growled as I said that and I just laughed more. You growling is making me remember your aunt's Pomeranian. What was his name again? Oh yeah, Kakin. That made him come flying at me only for me to sidestep and him to embed into the chalkboard into it too. Wait, your nickname for Bakubro came from a dog's name. I shook my head. No, it's the reverse. Growing up I couldn't say Katsuki, so I called him Kakin. His aunt heard me call him that and soon after found a naturally spiky-haired, angry-looking, yet very nice Pomeranian and called him Kakin. The next time she visited drove him crazy. Momo was laughing. So what happened? We gotta know. Bakugo then got himself out of the wall inside. That beast attacked me each time I answered Deku. The little spiky mutt hated everyone but Auntie and Deku. Seriously, the thing would be the sweetest thing around Deku, but if I tried to pet it or get Deku to go outside to play, that monster bit me. This caused everyone to burst out laughing. Mina was the first to partially pull herself together. So, is Kakin still alive? This made everyone laugh even harder until Bakugo started to make explosions in his hands. I shook my head. You can't keep scaring people or you'll only have me and the Baka squad as friends. He groaned as Cementos fixed the wall where he broke it. I headed for my seat. Also, yes, Kakin is still alive. I saw him yesterday during patrols. Auntie was surprised to see me and Hasu on a school night. She told me to tell you hi and that she's visiting next week. NOO. Please tell me you're joking. I shook my head. Nope, she's also bringing Sabrina and a friend of hers. Bakugo turned pale and face planted into the floor. Kurashima poked him. He's not reacting. I shrugged. He hates Sabrina. Each time she visits, she sends him flying in their battles. Her quirk is C4. Auntie has the same quirk as his mom, while his uncle is a clay-based quirk of some sort. Let's just say, never accept a clay figurine from her. Everyone nodded and Aizawa walked in, looked at Bakugo, looked at the green wigs, and left the room. I need to talk to Nezu about a raise. This class is going to be the end of me. I laughed some. I guess homeroom is a free period today. Everyone laughed while Kurashima and I put Bakugo into his seat. We all joked around and that's when Shoto asked a question. Izuku, have you talked to Vamp or Cyber lately? I nodded. I visited them yesterday actually. Vamp was sent through a time warp and got corrupted by a quirk. I don't know what quirk, but I can't interfere in another reality. Cyber is actually doing awesome. He saved Uri, adopted her, and is engaged with his Mei. His mom is dating his All Might and his real father is all for one just like me. He's a pro hero and, as a funny side note, him and Uri are now Nikos. What? Everyone said at the same time, even Bakugo. I explained what I knew, avoiding the truth about Vamp always being evil, and everyone sighed a bit at Vamp's fate. Wait, you said Cyber is a Nico now. How is that possible? That part is kinda sketchy for me. Apparently a female Nico version of me blasted him with a cat ray. Izuri loved it and he decided he could use his quirk to give her an Aizawa and Nico quirk. Needless to say, he kept it for himself too. Everyone was stunned until Denki had to ask, "Is female you hot?" This got him jabbed by Kyoka's earjacks. I shrugged and thought for a bit. No clue, but if it was like when I gender bent you, then definitely not. Everyone laughed at this and Bakugo smirked, making everyone look at him worried. I have an idea. Who wants to mess with Aizawa-sama? Everyone looked at him confused until he said, "I'm guessing Cyber gave you a copy of the cat's paw." I nodded and smirked. "I'm guessing you're saying everyone becomes a Nico to mess with him." When his smirk grew bigger, everyone joined in and removed their wigs. With a couple minutes of quirk editing, copy, and giving everyone their version of the quirk, and we all sat in our seats as we heard our target walk down the hall. He entered the room, stopped, took a few steps back, walked back in and shook his head. Okay, either I have a classroom of Nico students because I went to another dimension, or someone drugged my coffee. I was the first to talk, tilting my head some. "Are you okay, Aizawa? You look like you're seeing something impossible." Everyone could barely hold back their snickering as he nodded. "Midoriya, do you have a healing quirk?" I nodded and walked over to him. With my paws I moved him over to his chair and pretended to heal him. "Did that work, Aizawa?" He shook his head. "Nope, I still see Nico's." "Wait a second, I felt you have paws." "Okay, what's going on?" The entire class started to laugh as he groaned. Bakugo was laughing the hardest until he suddenly started barking like a Pomeranian. That made everyone laugh harder but made him mad. "Deku." Bakugo came flying at me until Aizawa temporarily erased his quirk. When that happened, he face planted again and I removed the Nico quirks from everyone. I explained the prank to Aizawa and he sighed. "You all are problem children. Don't prank me again." I smirked, wiggling my ears before retracting them. "No promises. Want the Nico quirk? Do I love coffee?" I sigh and answer my phone. "Hello. This better be important. It's past midnight." All Might sighed. "I'm sorry about calling you so late. I want to give you back one for all. I never should have forced you to return it to me. That day I was a fool. Please come here and take back your quirk. It doesn't work for me at all." I groaned. "Kiss my emerald is All Might." After hanging up the phone, I went back to meditation to hopefully sleep. All Might called back, so I muted my phone and rolled over. He did not give up. When it was 5 a.m. I was sick of it. "Me, what? All Might, I want to return your quirk. I never should have made you return it." Give up, All Might. I don't want one for all back. Plus it may not be compatible with me anymore. I won't give up. You're the only person worthy of the torch. Now please accept it back." I groaned and warped next to him on his couch. "Fine, if you promise to never call me between midnight and school time ever again. I may not need to sleep, but I enjoy it when I can." Needless to say, it scared the crap out of him. After he got over his shock, he smiled. "Oh, I didn't think of that. I'm so sorry. I won't call you between 10 p.m. and when class starts unless it's a true emergency." I hugged him. "I accept, and I'm sorry I was so mad at you. When you treated me like everyone else, it broke me." He returned the hug and sighed. "I was mad when I learned you shared DNA with the man who killed my mentor, who gave me one for all." We spoke for a bit and I told him how badly you affected one of my other selves. Needless to say, he was appalled by himself. He held out his arm. "I know this won't fix Vamp you, but maybe blood for blood." I couldn't help but laugh as I made my arm ring. "Blood for gems is a better one. Plus you got the gem, so I guess blood fits." I waved to my arm from when I first met him. As he laughed at my horrible joke, I bit his arm and took back one for all. Once it was back in me, I cloned it and gave it to him. "There we go. I did give you a copy though, so you can work as long as you want." He cried slightly and hugged me again. "All Might, I need to warn you about the quirk. Because it was a stockpile quirk, it also has a copy of the quirks of all previous and current holders. Your buff form was actually a hidden quirk. Since I boosted it with my quirks, you now have all of them. Please don't use any of them without asking me how to." I trained him how to lock all of my quirks and those of his predecessors. Once that was done, I warped home saying, "Also, call me Izuku from now on." When I warped into the dining room, everyone instantly glared at me. "What?" All Might wanted to talk. "Sorry. I should have left a note." Everyone nodded and one handed me a pile of mail. "You're joking. I missed the 11 a.m. mail truck." They shook their head and I put the mail in my room before coming back down for lunch. After lunch I sorted through my mail, burning most of them. After an hour I got a phone call. "Yes, Midnight. What do you need?" She sighed. "Please tell me you have a quirk that can remove some of my aging." A teenager called me an old hack. I chuckled. "I do, but I can't actually make you live longer. Using a few different quirks I can stop your aging, but you'll still die from old age." She squealed and hung up. Someone opened the door. Midnight is in a rare form and I just fixed it yesterday from the horde of females. When Midnight arrived, I was already halfway to the living room and I had the beauty quirk created. "Don't speak, Midnight." There are a few rules and a big side effect you might want to know. This quirk requires you to keep exercising and eating healthy. Junk food or being lazy will still make you gain weight, as all it does is stop you from looking older than 22. Now the side effect is just a stronger version of what you deal with monthly. She nodded and stood still for the quirk to be given to her. Midnight, how do you want the quirk given? I can do it my father's painful way, vampire mess bite, Cyber's tingly way, or a new way I want to try. Midnight smirked and wrapped her arms around my neck. You finally want to have some adult fun, cutie. I was confused at first until I realized what she meant. How the hell are you a hero with your perverted mind? I meant a kiss, not that. I may be of legal age, but I'm not hormonal like regular teenagers. I pull her arms off of me and shuddered. Now I know how Midas victims felt. Hey, what? Your mind hopping to that is unsettling. I sighed as I sat down on a chair. Whichever cosmic entity is deciding to mess with my life, I hope you step on sharpened Legos. Midnight laughed. If your luck gets worse, remember it's your fault now. I kissed her on the cheek and watched as she became slightly younger looking and, unfortunately for her, a lot more attractive, ripping her hero outfit in some areas. She looked herself over in a nearby mirror as I created a dress for her to wear. After she changed into it, I gently pushed her out. You need to talk to your costume maker, and before you ask to pay me back, I would like a month without you asking for a date. What happened next was her eagerly agreeing and skipping away. Wow, kinda thought she'd fight back. Okay, cosmic entity, I rescind my Lego thing. I turn and right in front of me is a Lego with spikes instead of the regular circle bit. Very funny. I kicked it to the side and walked up to my room to finish sorting the mail. By dinner time, I had another prospective person to date. It was a love letter from May, which shocked me. Dear Midoriya Izuku, these past few months working side by side with you on my babies made me realize something. You're not just a walking fortune, a villain's son, or a hero in training. You're the nicest person I have ever met, and a person you saved years ago. During daycare, when we were all younger, you stopped the bullies from beating me up and ruining my drawing of my babies because a female shouldn't be a tinkerer. Back then my hair was blonde and my quirk hadn't manifested yet. You scolded the girls and shielded me from their quirks. One sentence you said stuck to me. I would rather marry a girl true to herself than copy and paste Barbie doll wannabes. That made me dig harder into becoming the best support hero out there. I know you're still stuck on Uraraka, who ended up to be a traitor. What I'm trying to say is, I hope that whenever you get over her, I hope you give me a chance. Sincerely, Harum May. I was stunned. She was that Harum. What I learned after her parents came to pick her up on that day was that she was more loaded than the Yairazu family. Seriously. Her father created Hat Tech, the biggest support gear creation company in the world. I pinned her letter to the board and put up Shoto's pic as well, since he asked me out on a date yesterday. I of course turned him down, which I hope he took well. When supper time came, I slid down the banister and across the floor until I got to my seat. Mom scolded me for being a bad example for the kids here. I apologized, saying everyone asks me if I've tried it, and now I can say I have. Supper was nice and fun. I had to stop a food fight from starting, but other than that it was enjoyable. I did the dishes and smiled as the Neapolitan trio began pranking Mom, Kurogiri, and a few others. When they pranked Mocha with a rope trap, I had to stop them and quickly untie Mocha, growling, "Keep your mouth shut or I will remove your vocal cords." She luckily didn't say anything until the trio left and she was untied. Next time, tighten it, Daddy. I sighed. Of course you couldn't resist that line. Next time I won't help you. She laughed along with the older half of the Namu forms. I smirked evilly. Maybe next time I will summon Ratchnera from Monster Museum and let her play. That made Mocha scream in terror and run into her room, locking the door. Wow, thought she'd love getting bound by her. Oh, she's part spider and Mocha is afraid of spiders. This makes everyone laugh, and I laugh as I think up a prank. When Mocha finally left her room 2 hours later, I was told, and I became an emerald spider. On her way back to her room, she saw me on a web in the hall. Her scream actually broke some windows before she fainted. I put her to bed and cleaned up my prank with everyone laughing except my mom. If I wasn't a pro hero, she would have grounded me. So to double down, I moved the web into Mocha's macabre bedroom. I then went to bed and slept peacefully, glad I had finally forgiven All Might. Maybe I will have him come over for supper. I groaned as I walked downstairs, popping my back and trying to straighten my jade spine. Hood, can you punch the small of my back, please? I fell asleep odd and a few spinal discs moved. He punched me twice and I straightened up. Much better. Thanks, Hood, that did it. After that I headed off to school early as I wanted to talk to May. The second I got in front of the support classroom door, it blew up. I didn't move. May, I swear you blow stuff up on purpose to grope me. She blushed and got off of me. Sorry, Izuku. I was trying to make a blast-proof SSB that doesn't require the on box around it. This time it was a May 3 explosion in the same strength, fully charged battery. She walked in and cleaned up as an arrow lodged itself in my arm. I'm guessing you wanted arrows that can cut anything. Power loader panissed and apologized. I am so sorry, I didn't mean to launch it. I was making sure it was the correct length. He slowly removed the arrow and I looked the tip over and told him how to reinforce it with my hair to cut deeper. After that he tried again and it went through my arm and the cement wall. Much better, but an arrow recall system will be needed. Just follow the trees with holes in them for now. He rushed off for his only arrow and I walked over to May. So you used to be a blonde. Pink definitely suits you more. May blushed. So you read my letter. I know it was kinda presumptuous, but I do want a chance when you're ready. I laughed. I thought you looked familiar, Mecha May. This made her laugh. Haven't heard that name in years. Why did I even get that name? I showed her the day the girls really made her mad, so she made a wooden mecha suit that was immune to their quirks and tossed them into the nearby pool. Their looks were priceless and she saw I had destroyed the ladder, making her laugh more. I always wondered what happened to the ladder. Good to know you had my back that day. I nodded and helped her with her current project until class was about to start. Class was simple and a tiny bit boring as I already knew all of it. During lunch someone had to break into the school. Actually, it was a flood of people. Seriously, why am I most eligible effing bachelor? I am not interested. Must I literally spell it out? I literally dragged every single girl off the school's property and told them to go home and give up. I'm not interested to get a damn girlfriend right now. Let me effing heal first. Once that was over I started to head to class when a flood of guys came swarming in. Rinse and repeat. Once I was done I did my training and made sure to cover the complete wall around the school with very sharp emerald spikes. The rest of the week was kinda a repeat of the damn cycle. I actually had to do a effing television conference. All it was about was me saying, keep breaking the law, trespassing, and invading my personal space will result in restraining orders and jail time. Let me choose at my place. Now let me do my schoolwork or my chores at home in peace. It stopped and I was able to relax some. A couple of weeks went by before another swarm of horny, gold-digging, relationship-wanting, law-breaking single people broke the doors to my house. I was beyond pissed. I slowly stood up and glared at them. This is what I hate. You guys not listening to me say in plain, simple English to do one simple thing. I let that sink in before I yell, back the F off. I need space and time, you effing blockheads. Now get off my property before I put you all in jail for the rest of your lives. Silence for a couple of seconds before they all started to run away. I slowly rebuilt the doors and windows destroyed and glared at the group of people still on the edge of my property. I'm so tired of this effing bullshit. I might need to choose a partner soon. I sat on the bus happily as I played with a small floating ball I created out of float from One for All's previous holder, a bit of jade, some of Uraraka's anti-gravity, and some other quirks. With a smirk I sent it to someone else. Hot potato, floating taser edition. Suyu freaked out and sent it hurtling to Denki, who caught it confused. When it short-circuited his brain we all started to laugh like crazy. We spent the rest of the trip playing. We even got Aizawa. Now Katsuo, thanks to the Nico quirk I gave him, in on the fun. He used his tail from time to time after I made the voltage much less dangerous. We all had fun with it, and when we arrived at the testing area we all got off and kept passing the ball. It floated off when Katsuo sent it really fast at Ms. Joke. She caught it confused and he smirked, full voltage Midoriya. I smirked and shocked her, causing her hair to stick up on end. Everyone was laughing as I recalled the ball. When she recovered she saw Katsuo and ran over to rub his ears. So it's true, you became part cat. I lead everyone else inside and signed them in as I get an interdimensional call from Cyberpaw. I was confused until I saw the talking kitten through the portal. Hello Gem Izuku. Cyber Izuku as you call him ran into a Reaper. If they exist here they may exist there also, can you see if I exist there? The kitten gave me info on Reapers and gave me an address to check out later. The people there were about to fine me for illegal quirk usage until I showed my hero license and explained that quirk was not mine. After that I went to the bleachers and watched the show. It was fun watching all the schools battle and try to go against my classmates. They train much harder with their new quirks and Katsuki is now a literal dive bomber. He is flying using his explosions and blasting people that dared to offend him. When it came to the civilian rescue bit I enjoyed seeing everyone work together before Ms. Joke said, Katsuo, why isn't he taking the test? Isn't he in a 1? We both groaned and I showed her my license. Wait, you're spite. I'm so sorry, I want there when they showed your face. I shrugged and formed a wall of emerald when a chunk of rock came flying at us. It's fine, I'm used to being labeled wrongly. You aren't the first and won't be the last. When the test was over everyone passed. As we were leaving I saw Ms. Joke and Katsuo talking to each other and using a small eavesdropping quirk I heard him ask her out. She of course said yes and he walked onto the bus smiling. Without saying anything I got everyone onto the bus and ready to leave with their provisional licenses. For an exciting day I was hoping for a relaxing evening. Instead I had to fight a bunch of idiot anti-villain association members. I had to fight them to enter my own mansion, which was kinda normal. When they broke into my house I was mad. Seriously, I might as well but a effing door factory at this rate. I beat the goon squad of Mineta is innocent. To say they believed Mineta's lies would be an understatement. They view him as a hero when he's a bloody rapist and murderer. I was so close to killing them, but instead I put them all into a cage and warped them to prison. You'd think after fighting those idiots I would get time to relax. But no, the damn wannabe suitors broke in. This time it was a bunch of people who had gem and metal-based quirks. After a bit I kick everyone out and form a giant emerald dome around my mansion. Then a few people popped out of the ground as a mutant type with the ability to finish the tunnel. With them fully through I kicked them through the gem wall and unsealed the hole. I had to completely reinforce my entire property and it hit the new again. Damn suitors. I wake up at midnight with May freaking out. Izuku, I need help. Tomorrow is pajama day, and Nezu wants everyone to wear sleeping bag suits that look like their hero suits or the school uniform. I got all the hero suits but only half of the rest of the school. Please come help me. I warped behind her and chuckled. You get some sleep and I will finish what's left. She handed me a list and I got to work as she put hers on and dozed off. Hers had built-in tools and her trademark goggles. I finished all of them and noticed that I didn't have a sleeping bag suit cause I have no hero outfit. With a chuckle I began to work on my own. I made mine look like a jade and emerald version of Marshmallow from Frozen. With that done I let May sleep until it was time for class. I had her pass out the suits as I warped to the classroom. With a smirk I clung to the ceiling and waited for everyone to walk in. Once everyone was in and in their sleeping bags I dropped down and roared, scaring everyone. Using a mix of present mic, one for all, and a few other voice quirks, the voice scared everyone. When Bakugo and Todoroki got ready to fight I fell down laughing, dropping all the voice editing quirks. Midoriya, Deku, Izuku. That's when Nezu ran in. What was that noise? Are we under attack? I shook my head as I kept laughing on the floor. Katsuo sighed as he walked in with his cat-themed sleeping bag suit. Nezu chuckled as Katsuo used his tail to remove the flap over my face. Midoriya, you scared the entire school. Now apologize to them all, problem child. I nodded and did so. The rest of the day was interesting as everyone loved the suits. We had a few fights in them as they were hero workable. Everyone was having fun in the suits until I became a spiked rolling wrecking ball in mine. Unfortunately, Katsuo couldn't resist trying to play with me as if I was a ball of yarn. He got a few cuts on his hands before he regained control of himself. I healed and removed that aspect from him and made him able to choose when catnip affects him. Once that was over with, we all played dodgeball with me having to retract the spikes so I don't pop the balls. My class was the overall winner over all the other classes. We all went home and decided to meet up later in regular clothes at the mall. After we all got to the mall I had to change my look some. I made my skin tan, hair black, and my eyes red. At first they didn't recognize me when I left the restroom. I explained why and pointed to the horde of single people just now rushing in. Everyone just nodded and walked away from the horde to do our shopping done. With a smirk I lead us all to the fancy restaurant I owned and removed my disguise, causing the host to nod and lead us up to the party, business dinner meeting room. We get our drinks when of course my head cook's head rolled in. I told you to wear your gear at work, but you're scaring my friends. Now what recipes have you so excited you threw your head up here? He told me and everyone loved the sounds of them. I had Bakugo drop the head onto his body. Everyone downstairs just laughed when Bakugo said, "Hey bud, you lost something. Get a collar." Ramsey yelled back, "As long as you get a muzzle." Supper was nice and we all enjoyed it. Momo tried to pay but the waitress we had laughed. I had to explain I owned the place and I already paid for our meal. After that we all headed to our respective homes, with Bakugo spending the night at my place as his parents were on a cruise for their anniversary. What a fun day other than the odd wake-up call. This weekend was horrible. I might as well start from the beginning. On Friday I decided to ask Momo out because I know for sure she isn't after my money. Momo, can I talk to you in private after school? She nodded and I went to my desk to slowly drudge through class. Near the end of the day a notice hits all our phones saying a lot of prisoners broke out of prison due to the anti-villain idiots breaking them out. You can guess which two are on that list. Once the day was over, Momo and I waited for everyone else to leave. I slowly walked over. I know both our lives are crazy and since those two broke out of prison it's bad timing. Screw it, I'm just going to ask. Will you go out on a date with me? She was stunned a bit but then nodded, chuckling. Timing may be bad but you can't control everything. I will go out with you. Tomorrow all day sound good. I want to go to the new amusement park. I nodded and headed home. On my way home my gravity was suddenly greatly increased and I knew one found me. I looked at Uraraka. "Hello Heartbreaker, how are you this dreary day?" She growled. "Go to hell and die, you worthless emerald." She kept increasing my gravity as she tries to flatten me. I let her keep trying before I get really mad. I teleport behind her and knock her out. With her done I put her in jail and have them increase her security so she can't escape again. Thinking I was done I headed home only for a horde of the stupid anti-villain nitwits to follow me like I'm a mouse and they are cats. They never learned to leave me alone. They might learn today. Maybe not, but I can hope. After a bit I glared at them and said, "You guys cause more harm than good. You released a murder and a rapist who murdered someone. They may have been in the hero course, but they killed people. I have not broken a single law and you harass me. They have, and you break them out of prison. How does that make any sense? You're nothing but idiots without common sense. Get a brains, you worthless Karens." The entire group was female and they gasped as I called them that. With them stunned, I started to walk home again as I grumble. After a few steps, a tomato hit me in the back of the head. I froze and turned to look at the group who had a plant Quirk person growing tomatoes to launch at me. They pelt me and I just looked annoyed as I grabbed my phone. Sick the suitors. I literally counted down from 5 and a flood of people that wanted to date me saw me and froze as they saw me get pelted by tomatoes. The anti-villain dinguses kept hitting me with the tomatoes when I say, "I'm not a villain, now stop it. You're truly acting like Karens." They kept it up and I saw my suitors, as they call themselves, get really mad. When one tried to attack the Karens, I stopped them. No, don't stoop to their level. This made both sides go absolutely crazy. My plan didn't as planned and an all-out fist fight broke out. After cleaning myself up, I started rounding everyone up. I put the two groups in separate emerald cages and sighed irritated. Anti-Villain Association, you guys are going to jail for assault of a hero, defamation of my character, spreading slander, libel, and helping a jailbreak. The rest of you will have to go to jail for processing, but it will just be aggravated assault caused in the defense of another. I told you not to stoop to their level. After prison visit number 2, I headed home. By the time I got home, it was dark and a good portion of my porcelain skin was breaking just from how tired I am. My mom freaked out until I explained what happened. I asked her to tell the cooks to start early and make my energy drink slush tomorrow morning. When she asks why, I tell her about my date with Momo and she agrees. Thinking I was set, I laid on my bed only for it to explode. I try myself from the ceiling and look down. At once was my bedroom. All the Namu forms and my mom rushed in with me hanging from the ceiling. All my porcelain is gone and what was left was my emerald flesh, my jade bones, and my green gold veins. I am now beyond mad. This shit needs to stop. I call Momo and reschedule for Sunday before I look at the cooking NFs. Time for the anger feast. I'm going to have to hunt down a bunch of prisoners and whomever just tried to kill me. They rushed down as I began to reform my skin and marched downstairs very angry. On my way down, I broke off my arms multiple times to pay for the feast I just ordered to be made. Let's just say if I ate this before Overhaul's raid, he would have lost way before I even got there. Hirajiri, Mom. Endori tried to calm me down, but I was seeing red. When the feast was ready, I ate it all and left the mansion. I spent until noon the next day hunting down every single escaped convict. Along the way, I stopped a lot of lawbreakers and put them in as well. Ran into a few heroes, arresting a mutant-type Quirk bearer because of his looks. I checked the mutant and let him go, scolding those heroes for being Quirk-type racist. Of course, they thought I was siding with a villain and tried to arrest me until All Might showed up and stopped them. They listened to him but glared at me until Gang Orca showed up. Gang Orca looks like a villain, but everyone knows him to be a hero. These heroes snarled and was snippy with Gang Orca, with one calling him a dirty mutant. All Might, Gang Orca. And I heard him clearly and I called a friend I made. This friend was to check this trio of fake heroes' arrest history for number of mutants. After an hour they called back and said what I was really hoping for. I quickly arrested them. You 3 are under arrest for false imprisonment of over 200 mutant types each. You know your rights and anything you say will be used against you in a court of law. Put them in jail, talk to Gang Orca, and return looking for the last escaped prisoner. The grapist was still loose and had his quirk, since I couldn't remove it until he would have been found guilty in his court date next week. After a while I gave up and grabbed some expensive tea and snacks to give to Momo. I get to the wall around her mansion and notice purple balls on it. I hopped over the wall and ran in, breaking the front door. Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Yaoyorozu. I will fix it in a minute. Grapist is here and I think he's in Momo's room. I dropped the bags I was carrying and run to Momo's room, hoping her room was the same as in Vamp Izuku's reality. What I find makes me actually want to hurl. I find Momo nude, cut up slightly, and gagged with Mineta getting himself prepared. I quickly encase him in emeralds, cover Momo with a sheet, and remove the grapist's balls from her and her bed. Once I was done, I grabbed the encased pervert and growl. First you kill a cop in one of my Namu forms and then you try to rape Momo. I'm sure you hit another target or two, so I'm going to find out. I grabbed one of his balls from his head and used a backtracking quirk on it. I will be back, Momo. I just need to put him in jail permanently and quirkless. I cover his emerald cage and jade, cause no one needed to see this midget nude. Going to make a memory sensor quirk later to deal with it. With that planned out, I followed his animated, floating ball backwards through his path. After just 3 hours of walking, I found over 15 targets, with each one eager to press charges. I got their info and went to prison with the pervert still encased. I turned him in, the data for the girls he raped and Momo. Before I could leave, I break the shell he was in but create a chastity so he can have fun with his part. The guards chuckle and get him new clothes before tossing him into a cell. With a lot of paperwork done, I warp to Momo's mansion and quickly repair the door before I knock. After a bit I am let in and I talk to Momo. By the time night comes I begin to crash from the anger feast. I tell her I will pick her up tomorrow to go to the amusement park as I get up. The crash gets worse and I face plant on the floor of her bedroom. Damn it, my feast crash came early. My porcelain skin fell off and Momo panicked. Izuku, are you okay? She struggled to move me onto a chair near her bed. I sighed. I did an energy-heavy feast to catch all the escaped prisoners last night after my bed blew up. Momo hugged me and sighed. You could have asked for help, you idiot. I don't like seeing you like this even if you do it for battle. I'll get a wheelchair we have for guests. This might scare my parents some. Momo ran out and explained to her parents what happened. After a bit all three come in and they see my skinless body. Her parents are scared for about 10 seconds and then were curious. They tapped my arms, used a gem lens, and looked me over confused. How are you still alive? Your organs are some metal and none are moving. I shrugged. No clue. Been this way since I was 4. I won't ever die since I'm kinda already dead. The three of them move me into the wheelchair and Momo pushes me to the dining room. I think we need a big meal to help him out, Momo said as she pushed. Her parents nodded and her dad rushed off. As we joke along the way to the dining room, I move my arm and break off my left hand and a bit of my forearm. This scared Mrs. Yaoyorozu greatly until my arms slowly regrow. After some silence, so the rumors about you being a limitless fortune was true. I nod and sigh. Yep, money from food basically. We all have a good supper with Momo feeding me since I can't really move my arms. I was embarrassed, but Momo and her parents just chuckled some. After supper I called my mom with Momo and I on speaker. We explained what happened and she sighed, thanking Momo for feeding me. After a couple hours my skin started to regrow and I tried to leave. The Yaoyorozu stopped me and said I was staying the night and Momo texted my mom telling her I was lead to a guest room and went to bed. A bit later Momo walked in and laid next to me. Sorry to bug you, but may I sleep with you tonight? I'm not comfortable sleeping alone in my room. I nodded and held her. I'm sorry that I have a cold body. She shrugged and snuggled into me before she dozed off. I fell asleep after a little bit, sleeping more peacefully than I have in a while. The next morning's wake-up call was very interesting. Her parents rushed in yelling as they opened the door. When Momo and I woke up I was still holding her. Mr. Yaoyorozu just sighed. I hoped you used protection. His wife hit him. He wouldn't do that after yesterday, plus he probably can't have kids. Momo told them that she slept with me because she was scared, but we didn't do anything like that. Mineta basically scarred her for life. I face-palmed and told her I can erase the image of him being nude with a sensor blur. She quickly agreed and I did it for her. We had breakfast and I warped home with Momo. She and Mom talked as I showered and changed. When Uri heard where our date was she wanted to go. Momo said she could come and the three of us had an awesome day with Uri slipping up and calling us her parents. We both laughed and hugged her saying if Mom allows it she can call us that. By the end of the day Uri had a lot of sweets. I won some giant plush dolls and candy for Momo and I got us lots of food otherwise. When we got home Uri asked Mom and she nodded saying, I had a feeling you might connect better with my son. I just fostered you, not adopted. She gave me the adoption paper for Uri and I quickly filled it out. Uri was ecstatic and we watched a few shows in the giant theater. We all dozed off in there, but somehow Uri was put in her room with Momo and I ending up in mine. Monday came and Momo and I slept through the entire day. We went to school on Tuesday and everyone was going crazy over Momo and I as they knew we had a rough weekend. Momo found out about Uraraka attacking me again. Her reaction stunned the entire class. She freaked out acting like the protective girlfriend she is. The rest of the class was confused until I apologized and hugged her. Of course Ashido was the first to put it together. Aren't you already filthy rich, Momo? Why do you need more? Momo was about to defend herself but I beat her to it. Honestly, I asked her out as she has always been nice to me, even more than Uraraka. Now shut it or I'll remove your acid glands. The entire class backed away with Kachin laughing. About time you use your stone cold spine. I do have a question. Is Mineta really disgusting like we thought? Momo and I both turned green as we said. He was even worse. At Mad everyone worried until Katsuo walked in and told everyone to get to their seats. Hopefully this week isn't as crazy as my weekend. I walked to my seat with a groan as I popped my back, some causing some loud popping. Sato, can you power up and punch my back? I have a few vertebrae out of place. He quickly did it and I sighed. Thanks. I guess the bed bomb hurt me more than I thought. I then sat down with everyone looking at me scared. I'm immortal, nothing can kill me. Even Lady Death from Cyber's reality can't kill me. That made everyone calm down and class started. We barely got an hour and when anti-villain idiots broke into the school and hunted for me. When they found me they tried to attack me only for all of them to get tied up by Katsuo's scarf and Siro's tape. They were escorted off the property and released, only for them to break in again. This time I walked down to them. I only had to wait about 3 seconds for them to attack me. It was Tomato Karen again. With a smirk I grew a new special attack I call the Emerald Garden. Vines of emeralds grew out of the ground and grabbed all of the anti-villain fools. With them trapped I walked over to Tomato Karen. Hello again, Karen. I guess you met bail. I have a restraining order on you and the anti-villain group. You all are breaking that and now will serve jail time without bail or parole. Bye. Once they were hauled off I headed back to class for English with the loud cockatoo that is present Mike. Well, halfway through the lesson a bug got into the room and he screamed like a little girl. I shattered along with all the windows on the property. Everyone was shocked to see me suddenly shatter, but I grew a new body annoyed. Suyu used her tongue to catch and eat the bug, grossing out the girls and helping present Mike calm down. After class I swept up my shards and handed them to Nezu for much stronger windows and for future repairs. When he asked why I sounded so sure there would be more I said, today has already sucked. If it keeps up I'm going to need therapy. He nodded and I went into class. I walked in and dodged under Midnight's hug easily. I have a girlfriend Midnight also. There's still 2 weeks left in the deal we made. We did our poetry and creative writing class with the occasional Midnight simp. Fan club member professing his or her love. It gets annoying very quickly. I created an emerald dome over the school property and kicked out her fan club. Who the F left the doors open to the loony bin? That comment made Katsuki laugh and reply, no clue, but I bet they will regret making you mad. Lunch was uneventful except Hood and Kirigiri was helping lunch rush since I was shattered, formed a massive dome. And I made Emerald Garden permanent in a section of the schoolyard as a way to train dexterity and agility. During lunch I was put in a room by myself where I ate a lot of food. When class started back up I saw All Might walking to our classroom and he saw me through the door eating. Young Midoriya, why are you still eating? Lunch ended a few minutes ago. I swallowed a giant bowl's worth of bacon and eggs. The cockatoo shattered me when a ladybug landed on his nose. I've made an emerald dome because of Midnight Simps, and I had to make Emerald Garden, which is a very draining move. Which site are we training at this time? All Might paled and said, Site Delta. Also you might want to befriend Fat Gum. He eats almost as much as you. I nodded with a chuckle and I motioned him to move on. It's best you leave before I hurry up to finish. Not everyone can withstand me unhinging my jaw. He nodded and ran off with me, finishing my massive lunch. By the time everyone was changed I was already at the site and holding a massive chunk of emerald. No one asked, knowing how I eat sometimes. It was battle training again. Momo and I against Kirishima and Katsuki. I was ready to go against them with me as the villain again. That's when another bandwagon of idiots showed up. We are here to kill the fake hero that put Stain in prison. I was done. By this point if I had blood it would now be steam and I'd be melting the metal around me with ease. I marched over to them and yelled, I'm only warning you Stain wannabes once. Leave now before I am forced to go nuclear. The idiots attacked me only for their swords and daggers to break. I warned you idiots. Now time to pay the piper. I formed a flute of emerald and started to play music on it. The thugs heard it and was forced to dance themselves to jail. My classmates didn't hear the music, but All Might did, as he still felt guilty that he took his quirk back. Once I was done playing I crashed again with Momo and All Might rushing over to help me up. They helped me to a wheelchair and I sighed, I need more sleep. I've used too much of my energy for this BS. I've not figured out limiting it at all yet, All Might. Momo heard, of course. Limiting what, Izuku? Tell me right now. All Might sighed. Tell her. I'll oversee the others' test and set up a 3v3. As he walked away I told Momo about One for All and its history. I also explained that since I received the quirk from All Might I was using a lot more energy, but each time I rested it came back and I've been able to hold more. After class I got a ride home and Mom was worried until I told her about me getting back All Might's quirk and I have to redo my training to control it. Momo stayed the night and fed me at dinner. Of course I got teased by the Namu forms until I said, keep teasing me and I'll destroy your crystals, keeping you guys as Namu forever. That shut up all but Mocha. She kept it up and I had her crystal become a spider. Her reaction was hilarious since she keeps her crystal in her cleavage. She looked confused at first as the changes finished. When she reached in to find out what was moving she freaked out when she pulled out a mini crystal spider. She screamed and threw it across the room with Hood catching it. She ran to the bathroom stripping thinking there might be more. Mom was laughing. Momo was blushing. I was nearly asleep, and the rest of the NFs were laughing their heads off. Harry walked over and poked me. Go to bed, Daddy. You're about to doze off into the potatoes. I nodded and told everyone goodnight as Kirigiri warped me and Momo to my bedroom. Momo and I slept in the same bed and I began to hope again that tomorrow isn't a complete pain in the ass. It's been a decade since I was in UAS 01. Honestly, it was very, very boring. Every villain, lawbreaker, or rebellious teen I took care of them quickly. Teens were straightened out with a quick and easy scare. Lawbreakers paid their fines, and villains had to serve their time. Those are most of my day's events as the crime rate now is almost zero. Actually, some fun stuff has happened since I graduated. Bakugo and Kirishima got married with a very unique theme. Nothing but sharks and explosions. Sato and I had trouble making sure that the food was exploding with flavor and not C4. That and no shark teeth in the cake. On yes, but not inside the cake. Took us a week to get it through their heads. Gyro, Aka headphone jack, got a couple of girlfriends and they're all getting along. Then there was Shoto getting a girlfriend with a metal and plant-based quirk kinda like his hot and cold. They have been doing fine except when he accidentally gets sick. I was unfortunate to see what happens when he stayed for a sleepover. He throws up lava and craps liquid nitrogen. Since then he has been a bit of a germaphobe. Now for the most exciting bit. Momo and I got married. She and I run our own hero agency. I give people with pure hearts quirks, and she is currently off for maternity leave again. I have 3 kids right now and expecting 2 more. We have Uri, Fiona, and Greg. Uri is in high school while Fiona and Greg are in preschool. As of right now we are waiting for their quirks to manifest as I am worried about them being immortal gems like me. Momo said I could make her like me after the second set of twins are born, so at least I won't be alone. I guess this is the end of my story. Go look at another reality while you're sitting there. I know Vamp Izuku has finished his mission. Cyber Izuku is close to his. There a D&D me out there somewhere, and a Voodoo me. I wonder how their stories go. Maybe I should peek as well. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification. So when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.